Two, one. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Words from the Nerds podcast. I am your host today, your lovely It's Cubson or Cubson if you want to shorten it up. I am joined by my lovely co-host, Aiden H. Talks, in his wonderful new
horrible
temporary
camera
setup, his wonderful new temporary camera setup and everything. How are you doing tonight, Aiden?
I'm good. I'm in the bedroom. If you can't tell, it's we're roughing it out for a little bit, but we're not letting it stop us. That's the difference. You know, people find themselves in these trenches and they want to get comfortable in there. Not me. I'm tired of that. And so we're making do with what we got. Like, I have my laptop here. I'm using my webcam. So like it's not the best. It's not normal. But trying to get the old setup going. That will come soon. But yeah, I mean, did a review for this, so I'll kind of pull from that. Did a review for this on my YouTube, shameless plug, Aiden H Talks, on YouTube and on all social medias. And so I'm excited to talk about this damn movie. So that's all I got to say. I'll pass it off to our wonderful guests that we have today. Amen. Back for a second straight time, I'll add, because I don't think we've had like a back-to-back episode with the same like two guests.
That's true. Yeah. And speaking of that, if you guys missed our last episode, which was our episode 50 extravaganza, our lovely Jeopardy episode, which also slight spoilers for this movie that we're about to talk about. Very, very slight spoilers right now. I just want to say, like, I lit up when he was like, and I was the host of Jeopardy. I was like, yo, what are the odds of that? That is crazy. What are the odds? That's awesome. But anyway, without further ado, as Aiden mentioned, I would love to introduce our returning guests. First, we have benjimovies, Mr. Benjamin himself. How are we doing today, pal? Old buddy, old pal, old man.
I'm doing great, friend. I really appreciate that. It's been a great week. You know, Spiderverse coming out. I feel like I watched like 3 amazing movies back to back this past weekend, and so like it's just been a great week of watching movies. Still a little bit upset over that, you know, the devastating result of the Jeopardy episode. Not to get, you know, too far into details on that, but I'm excited to talk about this movie. I feel like it's a movie that, as more people have talked about it and I've seen more thoughts on it, I've appreciated so many more things about it. So I'm actually going to watch it again just in a couple of days because I feel like I just need to see it again, and I'll probably be able to appreciate it even more. So I'm ready to talk about it because there's so much to cover. So I'm happy to be back. I'm surprised you guys keep inviting me back with, you know, all the trash talk that goes on. But, well, Aiden and I, we have an all-love relationship. It's just, you know, Cubson, 30,000, Mr. 30,000.
Hey, sir. Go support the boy.
No disrespect. No disrespect, sir. 30K. I'm excited. I'm glad to be here.
Listen, it's all part of the process, you know. It's just, it's all love, it's all cherishment. Speaking of which, we have our lovely guest who we've almost known for a year now. Crazy, it's creeping up. Mr. Memish himself, returning from the tragic loss in the Jeopardy episode. Sorry to bring it back up, pal, but how are you doing tonight, man?
Oh God, PTSD from that episode. But don't worry, I'm still coming back. I'm gonna come back. But I'm doing great. I feel like, as Ben just said, I feel like it's been a great year for films. From 2023, I think for films it's been on a high compared to 2022, and there's a lot I could say about Spiderverse. But yeah, I'm having a great old day. You know, let's get into the Spiderverse, as we said. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We are. If you guys don't know yet, anybody listening, we are here to talk about the horrible, terrible Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse, which I think we can all agree was pretty garbage. That was. But you know, that's okay. We have Beyond the Spider-Verse to look forward to, and hopefully it can lift our spirits. I'm totally kidding. This movie was fantastic. I believe most of us all pretty much agree. Obviously, we're going to touch on each of our own little hype and excitement moments without spoilers at first to talk about this movie. But I think I'll jump in and. Oh my God, man. I've seen it twice. I almost went and watched it a third time today. just because I really, really love it so much. I've been watching bootleg clips on YouTube of all the best moments from the movie, but oh my god, there's so many good moments. And I know there's a great debate right now of like if this one or the Into the Spider-Verse, the first one, is better, and I think we all have different takes on that. We'll probably get into that a little bit later, but for me, I think after it took me after the second watch, let me clarify, but I think I find it better than the first one. I just, so many different moments within this film stood out to me. Whereas, and the first one had multiple moments as well, but just the little moments within this one, I think had much more of an impact than the little moments in the first movie. And granted, that's maybe that they got to juggle with these characters a little bit more. Like Gwen got much more of a focus in this movie than she did in the first one, and I think they did a great job with her. I think the villain was much better than Kingpin. I talked about it a little bit with Ben and Aiden in our group chat. Oh my god, the little arc that he has in this movie, the villain, the Spot, that's just crazy, so good. Miles himself, he's become my favorite version of Miles, and that's coming from someone who's played the Spider-Man games, and I think in terms of characterization, he's leaps and bounds better than the PS4 and PS5 version of Miles Morales. But I want to point this out. I saw Aiden on Twitter. He was like, "Oh, he would get dog walked." The PS4. No, the PS4 version would absolutely whoop the hell out of this one in Across the Spider-Verse. Absolutely, no. I promise you, this man would dog walk him. But that's okay. That's whatever. That's beside the point. But in terms of characterization, and which is much more important to me, I love this Miles so much. Everything that he goes through in this film, I feel for him. Especially that final. Sorry, I'm jumping into stuff a little too soon. I don't want to jump into that yet. But no, seriously, this I think Oscar Isaac, fantastic job voice acting as Miguel O'Hara. I think how I mentioned, I was watching scenes on YouTube. There's multiple moments where I love his delivery. It seems like he's like giving his all in the booth. Yeah. I love it so much. And he's not the only one, obviously. I think every single actor in this movie really pulled out like all the stops, pretty much, even for just like the slight little cameo moments, which again I have lots to talk about with that, which we'll dive into later with the spoilers. But no, I can't gush enough about this movie. I can't think of a single element that I didn't really like. Maybe I can, but obviously we'll touch on the shortcomings a little bit later. But I think I want to jump into. I haven't heard what Memish thinks fully all the way. I've seen a little bit in the Discord, but tell me, give me some deeper thoughts, Memish, as to what you felt after this movie.
Well, first of all, this film is, as Cobson said, it's amazing. It's incredible. This movie, I think it is. I think it is better than the first one. I think it is better than Into the Spider-Verse, mainly because I feel like the love and emotion, you can tell that they fully focused on the second film, if that makes sense. You could just, the vibe that you get, because in the first film, it's a nice origin movie. You love the vibe, the music, what you call it, Sunflower, him taking that first leap in the first film. It's incredible. I still think to this day, the leap that he did in the first film is still the best scene out of the two films. I don't think. I think that's still, like, with the whole soundtrack and everything, I think that's the best. But moving on to this Across the Spider-Verse, I think they balanced off the characters perfectly, storyline-wise. I don't think anyone had a bit more screen time than the other. I think the inclusion of Gwen's storyline was well done. You could feel the emotion of, obviously, every story that every Spider-Man or woman is supposed to go through, and they explain the multiverse a lot better than other films when they include multiverses. We'll probably get into in later on in the episode, but they explained the multiverse well. They explained, they showed emotion for Miles, they showed emotion for Gwen. As I said, with the villain was amazing. In the beginning of the film, I was like, okay, you know what I mean? He was like a standard person, and then later on, you'll be like, damn, he's more than that, and I did not expect that to happen. Especially within the trailers, he just felt like a little side character. But yeah, Miles was 10 out of 10. Bear in mind, this boy is 15 years old in the movie, and he's going through stuff like that, and I think that's ridiculous. And they showed his emotions, wow. Alongside with that, and every variant, I think most of the variants, the cameos, it was perfectly done. I think it was perfectly done. Nothing too much, nothing too little. I think the cameos were perfect, and it was perfect for its part one. Now I just can't wait for part two. I it's really good to just go out of depth, to go in depth or out of depth, just very simplified without the spoilers. It's a very, very good paced film with good paced cameos and good storyline of each Spider-Man and villain. That's the best way I could say it. Best way.
Yeah, I guess I'll take the reins. We'll save the professional for last. Mr. Ben. I absolutely agree with what both of y'all said. I love this movie a lot. However, I don't agree. I don't think it's better than Into the Spider-Verse. I think Into the Spider-Verse just has something so special about it. Going into this movie, not getting anything like this before, not getting, besides like, that Spider-Man video game we had, Web of Shadows, I believe, not touching so much on the Spider-Verse outside of other forms of media, getting something like Into the Spider-Verse. That leap of faith scene is possibly the best scene across any comic book media, in my opinion. Truly like embodying what it is to be Spider-Man, and it's the I forget the technical terms, but it's like the height of like the movie and what they're trying to tell with Miles. And so I don't know, I left Into the Spider-Verse feeling a little bit more satisfied. We'll get more into that later. Not to say that this movie is bad at all. I absolutely loved it. I have them like a point apart from each other. I like Into the Spider-Verse just a little bit more, but the fact that this movie was able to even live up to number one, which seemed impossible leading up to it, and the stuff that they set up showing how Beyond could be even better than both of these is absolutely insane. And so like infinite praise to this movie. I agree, all the Gwen stuff and them focusing on Gwen for a little bit. I was about to cry in that first like 10 minutes, dude. I was like, this is beautiful. Her world, the animation they use for her world is just like jaw-dropping amazing. And really differentiating these universes, which we've seen them do before, obviously, even with like Spider-Man India. But like having Gwen have kind of a same little animation style as Miles, but like tweaking it just a little bit to make it closer to her and her character. I love that a lot. I think every character in here, Miguel O'Hara, the Spot, all of the OGs that we saw in the first movie, and even some that we're introduced to in this one. It's crazy how you have this much stuff to juggle and yet you do it almost flawlessly. There are some, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, that you're just kind of like, but I mean, you have so much time in this movie to set up in your next movie that I'm sure we'll get most of that to make up for it, which is another reason why I'm just kind of like, there are points where it feels like a bridge, for sure, a bridge movie, which isn't a bad thing. You're setting up one of the best comic book trilogy of all time. I saw someone on Twitter say Guardians gets to hold that spot for 10 more months, and they were like cheering. It's true. It's true. Yeah. And so, what they were able to do with this movie and how they were just able to capitalize and elevate everything that they've done in the first movie is shocking. And it's something that shouldn't go, under radar, I guess. I can't think of the right word to say, but shouldn't go unnoticed. And so infinite props to them for what they were able to pull off with this. And yeah, I mean, even though for me personally, I like Into the Spider-Verse a little bit more, feels a little bit more like comforting. A lot of people talk about how like Homecoming, the stakes in that movie, it just feels like a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man movie. I feel like you can kind of relate that to Into the Spider-Verse a little bit because they are dealing with a lot. And then you get to this movie, the stakes are even bigger, which is completely fine. And they do a perfect job of juggling that as well, juggling the groundbreaking stakes that we see in superhero movies. I don't know. Into the Spider-Verse just kind of holds a closer place to my heart than Across, but like it's right there. It's neck and neck, which is insane to even be sitting here talking about. So infinite props to this movie. Best movie of the year for me. I'm surprised something was able to pass John Wick 4. I knew it was coming soon. Kind of crazy it came this quick. 97 out of 100 for me. Phenomenal film. It's in my top 5 favorite comic book movies of all time, and I'm not sorry about it. Anyone that wants to argue can argue. And speaking of arguing, this Miles is whooping PS4 Miles' ass any day of the week. I don't care. Let this man harness his powers a little bit more, and he's giving them the beats. All right.
So he needs more time. That's what you say.
Oh,
he needs
I mean,
more time.
he needs more time. It's a 4-0 sweep in the NBA Finals. He faces him right now. Probably do like a game 7. Go to like a little game 7 or something.
I'm telling
Animated
you, it ain't getting past
7.
game 1. I'm telling you.
this Miles is dog walking out. Ben, let me hear your thoughts. I kind of want to hear where you're at on the topic of Into the Spider-Verse and Across.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because what I'm gonna say is kind of also changed now that I've heard what you guys have said. It's really fascinating. So I'll start off with the Into the Spider-Verse versus Across the Spider-Verse. I gave them both the same score, which is a 97, because Aiden always copies my scores with films.
Dude, no, I put my score in and I was like, let me go see what people are saying. And of course, Ben is sitting there with a 97, and I'm like, great. Now I can't even like.
I got out of the theater before you. I mean, I get it.
I didn't see your review until I posted it. I didn't say that.
Yeah. So I kind of went back and forth, and even, shameless plug to my YouTube channel, but I posted a video ranking all the Spider-Man movies, and literally during the recording, I hadn't yet finalized on like which one I liked better. And I knew that I gave them the same score, but literally mid-recording was when I like decided, okay, this is final. And I personally think it goes to Across the Spider-Verse just barely. And the reason for that is because I think that when you're talking about the highs of each movie, that Into the Spider-Verse has the highest highs. The leap of faith scene is phenomenal. But I think that when you're talking about like the consistent moments, like the little moments, like I think Charlie mentioned, I think that easily goes to Across the Spider-Verse. And for me, just like pushes it a little bit further than Into the Spider-Verse. Because at least in my opinion, with this being like a part 2, where we're setting up for a third movie in the trilogy, I wasn't expecting like a leap of faith type scene because we're not at the climax to this story. Like this is still just part of the story. Yeah. So I think like Beyond the Spider-Verse has the potential to have the best moment like that of the entire trilogy because the buildup is so much greater. So I think that sacrifice was kind of worth it for this to be a good middle part. And then the only thing that I want to mention here just briefly is I think my only complaint with this movie, my only like small thing, is actually the villain of Spot. And I've mentioned this before because I kind of had the same thing with Kingpin as well, where these stories feel much more focused around Miles and the other characters. And so I feel like our villain usually kind of just gets pushed off to the side, which I don't think is a bad thing because what they do with Miles is so dang good. But I think like after they did that in Into the Spider-Verse with Kingpin, because he really wasn't like that great of a villain in Into the Spider-Verse, if we're being honest. I had higher expectations for Spot, and I do think that he was a much better villain, but I still think that a slightly like different approach would have elevated him even more. And I still think they could offer like some depth to him that would push it past that. But because not getting into any spoilers, but like the main dilemma that Miles is dealing with, I feel like they could tie Spot more directly into that. And they just haven't like bridged that gap between the two. And they really can, which we'll talk about that more later. But I just feel like it wouldn't have been that hard to just push him an extra step further in this movie so that the third, there's already some of that setup. Because, he's not in this movie as much as I thought he was going to be. So that's my one minor thing, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But that's kind of why I gave them the same score. is because for most of the movie they're pretty similar,
Yeah.
and then also like the villain thing I'm just a little iffy on. But I'm curious if that changes upon my rewatch. But overall, movie is phenomenal. The most beautiful animation that I've ever seen. There's a couple specifics we'll have to talk about with that later on when we get into spoilers. But this movie, I mean, it's just like one of those films where you're kind of just shocked. It's just like, how did they take all the expectations and all of the things that were great about the first one and take it further and do it so beautifully? So props to them. It's insane that this movie is as good as it is. And in my opinion, it's going to be the best superhero trilogy. The question for me is if it's going to be the best trilogy of all time, because I think it has the potential to be if Beyond the Spider-Verse can match the quality of the first two films. So I think that'll happen. Comic book trilogy, I mean, that's easy. That's easy.
But I mean, you think it has a chance of being up there with Lord of the Rings?
Oh, easily.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that these two movies, I rewatched Into the Spider-Verse before watching Across, and it's funny because I fell at a 98 and I went to go look at other people's scores, and of course Austin Burke is there with a 98, so I'm like, oh cool, like we're like about the same. And then after the movie I end up matching with you too, so I look like a complete fraud. I promise y'all I'm not. But yeah, it's crazy that, you know, you having them both at 97s, me having like a 98, 97, and then the praise that this movie is getting. Like it's insane that we're even mentioning that, you know, something that Into the Spider-Verse, this is a great movie, great animated movie. Oh, they're coming out with the second one. Okay, cool, we'll check this out. And then weeks leading up to it, I think Charlie, we talked about it 2 weeks ago. The fact that people are saying that it's better than the first one is crazy. And then we get to it and it's like, yeah, I can see that. I mean, I could definitely see someone thinking it's the best superhero movie, comic book movie of all time, thinking that it's better than Into the Spider-Verse. Like, I okay, fine. That's fine with me. I can see why y'all would think that. Me personally, you know, I don't.
And get off the Dark Knight train.
Dude, come on.
You weirdo, man.
Like, best Spider-Man movie, yeah, okay, duh. But
I think
best superhero movie,
Logan is like takes the cake.
oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Man, we're tripping on so many levels right now. It's insane.
you're alone there, Aiden. I'm sorry.
No, Logan is very good. Logan is very
No,
good.
yeah, Logan. Yeah, I like Logan.
Do we all have different number ones? Because I know it's like Logan, Dark Knight. Charlie, what's yours?
This one's probably number one for me.
This one, and then
All
Memish.
time?
It's hard, man.
I mean, listen, let me preface that because I want to say I don't believe in recency bias. I just want to say that. I know a lot of people listening to that are gonna listening to me say that are gonna say, "Oh, recency bias." No, dude. Like I'm not the type of person that falls down on I still love No Way Home as much as I did the first time around. Maybe I dropped down a little bit, but that's based on my rewatches, not just because I randomly like, you know what? This movie was a piece of shit. I'm not going to do that. That's not what I like. So many people have done that for No Way Home, and we're already guessing that people are going to do that for this movie here in like probably a week. I give it time. I give it that.
I don't think so. I feel like this movie has like an insane amount of legs, bro. You don't see a lot of people shitting on Into the Spider-Verse or like trying to backtrack and find things. I at least don't.
True.
Well, that movie also wasn't super popular right away.
Yeah.
Like that movie gained much more popularity in the following years of its release.
No, that's I can't remember if you said this in the group chat, Ben, but like the fact that the first movie made like a total of $300 million, and now this one on its first weekend made over 200 million. That's crazy.
Anyway, sorry to cut you off, Charlie. You can keep.
No, I mean that's pretty much everything I had to say, because it's just I want to preface that like I don't believe in recency bias. If you like something, you like something. I don't think it's like this is the most popular thing, so obviously it's the better thing, or the most recent thing, so obviously it's the better thing. I don't think that's a thing. In my eyes anyway. But no, yeah, that I think this one is probably my top, and my second would have been Into the Spider-Verse or No Way Home. I think it's Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah. Into the Spider-Verse.
I didn't know you liked No Way Home that much. I thought I was kind of alone there because I've always loved it since I watched it.
No, yeah, I've never been. I don't think it hangs on nostalgia too much. Obviously, it uses nostalgia, but I think it handles the nostalgia perfectly. It's not like Toby and Andrew are there just to be a little wave and high, and like granted there is like a pause for applause kind of thing for Andrew, people have noticed kind of thing, but other than that, like their actual stories and what they contribute to Tom's story, perfect.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I'll just say that after watching this movie, I feel like I need to rewatch No Way Home just because of my new perspective on the multiverse stuff. How I think Marvel has handled it very poorly. Like there's a really simple thought process going on in my head where like No Way Home seems kind of stupid now. But we'll talk about that later. But
yeah, we can get into spoilers. We've been going for about 25 minutes talking about the movie, spoiler free. So if for some reason in this world that you have not watched this movie yet, get up, buy the ticket, go watch it real quick, come back and finish it. But if you're one of the greats that has already watched it and you're listening to find out our thoughts, we are going to get into spoilers in 3, 2, 1. All right.
Did anybody have any like particular thing that they wanted to touch on first? Because I was just kind of gonna run it down.
I guess I'll start since I'm the only one here that likes Into the Spider-Verse more. I don't think the ending is abrupt in any way. I think the way they pace that last 30-20 minutes is perfectly fine. I just wanted more. So bad. We were in the theater and someone, as soon as the movie ended, someone was like, "What the fuck?" And everyone started laughing. And I was like, dude, I literally put my head in my hand and I was like, no, I just want more. Yeah. And which is fine, you know. I don't dislike this movie. I don't dislike it at all. I don't put it underneath Into the Spider-Verse for like anything too crazy like that. I just wanted more, and that's not a knock on the movie at all. I just wanted more of this, you know, masterpiece that I was seeing. I don't want to wait till March to finish it off, but that was really it. You know, like I get you have to bridge it. Originally, it was called a part 1. I understand. I think they did a damn good job with it being a part 1. It's in its bridge era. You know, they have to set up Miles being Prowler. They have to bring in the OG Spider-Man to fight with Miles and Gwen against Miguel's Spider-Man, which I don't think is going to be a point of conflict for a big chunk of the movie at all. I feel like eventually that'll get resolved quickly in the third movie. But you know, you have to set all these things up, and so I don't dislike it for that reason. I left not feeling super satisfied, which is okay because it's not in a bad way. I was just wanting more. Whereas Into the Spider-Verse, I feel like is just a complete, beautiful movie about what it means to be Spider-Man. Across the Spider-Verse is the exact same. I mean, they play on that theme a ton with the whole Uncle Ben and the whole like Spider-Man needs to grieve through some loss in order to get, in order to be Spider-Man and know what he's fighting for. And they touch on that a lot more, which I appreciate. You're keeping that theme from the first movie. You're elevating it a lot more. That's perfectly fine. I just didn't leave feeling as satisfied, and that's, nothing bad. I wanted more. And so that was really my biggest thing was just, I understand we're in our bridge. Brandon told me after the movie, it's in its Empire Strikes Back era right now. After everything comes out, we'll probably look back on it and be like, yeah, that was amazing movie. It just got better as the trilogy went on. Maybe so. And maybe my score will change when I'm rewatching it months from now. And then when I rewatch it before Beyond comes out, maybe it'll change. I'll love it even more. I'm sure that's a possibility. Right now, I feel like Into the Spider-Verse just left me with a better feeling, which to each their own. Like I said, I don't knock y'all at all. If anything, I love that y'all like it more than Into the Spider-Verse, because that means we're getting a good Spider-Verse movie. And like, hell yeah, dude, I love that. And so that was really just like my only, not just to get my spoiler section of my review out of the way. So that's just all I wanted to touch on.
Did you stay for the credits?
We heard Brandon said that there was no post-credit scenes. And I stayed to where it said Miles will return or something. I can't remember what they left off
Miles
as,
will
but
return in Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, that's what I stayed for.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is because like I think everybody everybody who watched the movie still got that feeling of like, oh, I wish we could just watch the next part right now, like not wanting it to end. I think everybody got that. But for me, like the music and the art of the credits kind of helped me like process and like kind of calm me down from that. So I left.
Yeah.
By the time I actually left, I was more satisfied than like when the movie actually ended.
Yeah, we left pretty early. Flex the poster real quick. We left pretty early because, dude, these were going quick, and they Brandon and his friend, we kind of knew that they were going to be going pretty fast, and so they ended up clearing the entire table out by the time everyone got out of the theater. And so we wanted to get these real quick, so we stayed a little bit and then ended up taking off. But
yeah. I heard I only stayed for the mid credits as well, just because I heard there wasn't a post credit scene. But I want to run it down like piece by piece. I could jump around to certain sections, but I mean, there's so much I want to talk about for each like different point of the movie. So firstly, like I talked about in my spoiler free part, focusing on Gwen was so fantastic in this movie, I think, because and how I mentioned and Ben mentioned, like it helped contribute to the multiple tiny moments that you get in this movie. You get the tiny moments with Miles and his mom. You get the tiny moment with very tiny moment with Miles and Peter, which that's maybe one of my complaints. I think I told you guys is like I wish we got more Peter in this movie. I felt like I was missing some of him, but you know, I just want that's like goes back to like I wanted more. I just wanted more of what was good, you know, of what I really liked. And so anyway, then you get the small moment with Gwen and her dad, and I would say you get multiple small moments because they break your heart at the beginning of the movie when he's just she reveals herself to him, and then he still just starts reading the Miranda rights to her. Like that's just, oh my god, that tears your heart out right there, dude. And then you get to the end, and then he quits. He says, I quit like about halfway through your big speech. Bro, that is, oh my god, that is so good, man. It's so many good moments like that. And then on top of that, not even just the super emotional ones, but the great moments but just with Miles running from all the spider people. That's just like when Miguel says, "Who do you think you are?" And then he's just like, "My name is Miles Morales," jumps and then kicks him in the face. Oh my god, dude. That was like a jump out of your seat type moment. Obviously, I'm not going to do that, but hey, that was so fantastic. And then you add on top of that, everybody, and this was in the trailer, so I guess it wasn't like as it still hits, but it just wasn't as powerful. It's not like I think this is probably like the closest great or not great leap of faith moment in the movie, at least for me. But it doesn't reach leap of faith like Memish said. Like I think there's the leap. Oh my god, the leap of faith scene is still the best scene of both of these two movies. But there's just so many more little moments in this movie, and like I've said before, even the small moment of Miles when he stands on whatever that train thing is that's blasting off to the moon, and just when he's like goodbye Gwen, and the way he flies off of the train, dude, the animation, everything about it was perfect, amazing. But no, that kind of brings me, I guess, and I know I said I wanted to follow in a sort of straight line with the beginning of the movie, but one thing I wanted to talk about, because there's been a lot of debate online about the entire prospect that Miguel introduced to Miles to begin with, and that's like canon events and how canon events work and how they can destroy a universe if they don't follow through with said canon events. A lot of people have said like with a room full of Peter Parkers and other spider people, they don't buy the idea that they wouldn't also side with Miles. And, you know, again, it's a great debate, and I think there's many different aspects to it. One aspect I would say is that I think Miguel either doesn't fully understand this whole canon event thing, or he's lying to some degree. about it for whatever reason. I think it's the latter. Like he probably just doesn't fully understand it. Like these big earth shattering or universe shattering events just happen by circumstance. They didn't happen because of a certain thing that. And actually, I know I'm getting off track a little bit, but also, do you guys know why Peter was in that universe with Miguel when it was started to collapse? When Miguel was like, hey, "Isn't that right, Peter?" Like, why was Peter in
Yeah,
that same universe with Miguel? I
I don't
didn't quite
know.
get
I
that.
was kind of confused by it. I was wondering why they were both in the same like
Yeah,
universe or what kind of history they have together.
yeah,
I didn't know if like Miguel was from his universe, but again, I don't think they ever
yeah,
said anything like that at all.
I
So
think he could be because he wasn't bitten, right?
yeah. He does the arm thing is how he
Yeah.
gets. Yeah,
So
Hmm.
I feel like that's what it is.
yeah. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think that could be possible. I was so confused by that part. Even on my second rewatch, I was like, why? Because they show the flashbacks or like the hologram thing of them trying to save people from that universe, but as it's just slowly collapsing, and then Peter is in that hologram with him, and then Miguel turns and asks him
Uh,
like,
would would it make sense to have the universe that Miguel went to be with his family is the one that Peter is from? Like, and that's what kind of caused the whole because you know it was a topic of conversation where um if Miles wouldn't have gotten bit, his Spider-Man wouldn't have died. And then it would have been like balanced. It would have been Earth 42 Spider-Man would be Miles and not Prowler. And then Miles's universe would have Spider-Man. And another thing is, okay, then how do you explain the universes where there are Peter and Miles together as Spider-Man? Anyways, um, to where it's a because that was a topic of conversation that Miguel was having with Miles in that kind of the climax of the movie or like towards the end to where maybe Miguel, the universe he went to was to have his family was the one that Spider-Man was in, Peter B. Parker, and that's kind of where that's that's where that scene is taking place, and that's how he knows Peter B. Parker so well. I don't know. I was thinking that maybe that was a reason is that the universe that Miguel went to was Peter B. Parker's, but I don't know if they ever like if they said anything else in the movie that kind of contradicts that or not. I'm not completely sure, or if
yeah,
that even makes sense. You know?
yeah, I don't know either. That the whole thing is a like not a blur. I can't think of but it's very confusing to me that whole situation.
They could even touch on it next movie. You know?
That's true. Yeah,
Wait, I
I
think
could
getting go ahead.
go ahead. No, you go. You go.
I think
Oh,
getting
you
some
go.
of I think getting some more of Miguel's backstory would be really nice. Like, how did he? I mean, I understand the prospect of like, since he's not a natural Spider-Man, it makes sense that he would be the leader because he doesn't have like skin in the game, if that makes sense. Like every other Spider-Man does because they were bitten. So it's just like different for him, but more so like, how did he get there? And like, how did all of these things come to be where we know all of this? And like, I mean, there's the post-credit scene in Into the Spider-Verse when they first make like the wristbands that can travel the Spider-Verse. So that was set up from the very beginning. We knew that, but like, how did all of this come to be? Because we're told that, like, you know, which we'll talk about this, I'm sure, Miles being the first anomaly. Does that mean that like they were already running the Spider Society beforehand and everything was good and they just kind of, you know, hung out and did their thing? Or were people not traveling across the Spider Verse before the anomaly? Like
Yeah.
we just don't really know those things. I would love to kind of bridge that gap. Like if Miles is the first anomaly, how did that affect so many other universes where at this point we have the Spider Society, we have Miguel, we have all of this set up? I would love to see them fill in some of those gaps. Um, but I don't know that they will, if I'm being honest. Like,
It's a multiverse problem, like you know, and it's not a problem, but it's the whole thing about the multiverse. Like, okay, well, what came first? And oh my god, the conversations about Loki when Loki was coming out and stuff like that. It was just like a headache. It's like, okay, well then if this, well, like what happened first, and did this always like you know, and everything with the sacred timeline, which makes a cameo in this movie, which I thought was
Yeah,
pretty
that
dope.
was crazy. Yeah.
So cool. But I feel like they could kind of fill in the blanks. Like my ongoing theory, which we don't have to get too far into this in case we want to keep the topic moving. My theory is that, which isn't like I didn't come up with this on my own. Somewhat, I filled in the gaps. That this whole like Miguel, Spider-Woman, Ben Riley, their little group, and Gwen and Miles's little group, they're not going to be button heads all movie. Obviously, I think Spot will be like our main villain. I feel like that will probably take up the first chunk of the movie, maybe the first quarter, and then they'll kind of resolve everything. Maybe canon events like aren't as big as they thought. Maybe they aren't. Either Miguel is lying or he doesn't know a lot about them. And so I feel like we'll find out, which I saw Brendan tweet this, that canon events aren't going to matter, that it's going to be something that they figure out isn't like as big of a deal as we thought, which will get Miguel O'Hara and his group on Miles's side. Like, oh, we don't have to let his dad die, Captain Davis. We don't have to let him die. We can actually save him because these canon events aren't what we thought they were. And so then Miguel and all them join sides. And then maybe then we find out like, well, hey, we created this spider society because of this. And like, then things can be more clear between everybody.
I don't like that. I'm sorry. Because what that does for me is it takes away the moral dilemmas and turns it just into all of the Spider-Man versus the Spot as a villain. And I feel like it's just not as emotionally compelling in my opinion. Like, I feel like there needs to be a certain level of like actual severity to the consequences of this choice. And if they just find a way to say we can have both, I don't know. I feel like there has to be sacrifice in order for it to be compelling. If they can just figure out a way where everybody's happy, I feel like that would just like undermine all of the setup of it, in my opinion. So that's just my opinion, though.
I think there definitely will be, like, I think at the end of the day, Miles is going to realize that he has to make that choice. What I think is the deal with all of these spider people is they've all been through that. They've all lost a captain. They've all lost an Uncle Ben. Some have lost an Aunt May, Spider-Man PS4. The difference is with those people is that they all at one point thought they could do it both. They thought, like Miles did, I assume anyway, they thought that they could get both done at the same time. But then when it came down to the final minute, the buzzer beater moment, you have to choose one. You're realizing you can't do both. You have to do the responsible thing and save the majority of the people rather than your own self-interest. And I think that's probably what's going to happen with Miles. Miles is, as much as like I say this and that probably sounds bad because it's siding with the idea that you shouldn't try to save people, but that's not what I'm saying. You should definitely try to save them. That's what I think these other spider people have lost along the way is like, they might have done it so many times to the point where they think like, well, naturally, I just need to save the majority anyway. So this is a sacrifice I have to make rather than you need to try to save everybody. You need to try, but it's not always going to happen. And I think that's what Miles is going to have to run into in Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. You can even still have that. Like Captain Davis, his dad doesn't like it doesn't have to be a set thing. Hey, your dad has to die. You have to let him die. And Miles
it could be though.
But it doesn't have to if you still want that choice. Because like Spider-Man PS4, like he has the chance to either save, with like the cure and everything. Like Charlie was saying, he can either save a whole bunch of people, or he can use to like make a vaccine, or he can use this one last bottle to save Aunt May. And it's like he makes that choice. Okay, I can let Aunt May die here and save everyone else, or I could say F them kids and I can like save Aunt May right here. Which he doesn't. He makes that choice. And I feel like you could still have Miles make that choice without it having to be so black and white.
Here's my one rebuttal is that this movie, and after I say this, I want to let Memish talk a little bit. I feel like we've been going back and forth. This movie showed us that is the case. And here's why. When we're in the Spider-Man India's universe and Miles is not supposed to be there. That is not what is supposed to happen. And he saves the police captain And then because of that, there starts to be a break in the Spiderverse, the metaphor for capitalism. And so like we see like clearly laid out, this is a canon event. This is what is supposed to happen. Miles already messed it up in a universe, and look at what happened because of that. So like you can try, but I feel like there is a level of black and white of like, this is what's supposed to happen. And if you interfere with it, then it's going to break the multiverse. And that's where I say, like, I don't think Miguel is just lying about that, because we saw it play out already. Unless what we saw is fake, which I just don't think that's the case.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm sorry, Memish. Here's the thing.
It's fine. Don't worry. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry.
Here's the thing that I think is, because when you see the universe being destroyed in the hologram thing with Miles and Peter, it is very, very different from what is happening to Spider-Man India's world. Spider-Man India's world it looks like connected to the Spot. That looks like a hole that the Spot might have left behind. And so what I'm thinking is that could be an accidental thing by the Spot, maybe. Like he's just like, since he's growing so powerful, all of these holes are growing everywhere. But it's very like, I feel like that was very intentional. You don't show a world disintegrating essentially by people disappearing in Miguel's hands versus Spider-Man India's world is getting sucked into this black hole. You know, like what's the differentiating factor there? Like why? I don't know. I don't understand that, you know? And I feel like they'll explain that. I feel like that there has to be a reason for that is what I'm trying to say. And I don't think that's just coincidental. I think which is why I'm not jumping to Miguel is lying. I think Miguel doesn't fully understand it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Memish.
No. I let Ben wants to say something.
I did have. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. It's okay.
So, if what you're saying is true about the Spot, I would love that, because that is part of what I talked about with the villain. How I feel like they could directly tie Spot into this moral dilemma so easily, and I feel like there's a setup for that, but they never directly state it. So if they correlate it in the next movie, I think it would be phenomenal. Yeah. And that correlation is, Spot was created by the first collider that we see in the first movie when it crashed and everything. And so I feel like what they should do is, if that is the first anomaly and that is what is causing the Spider-Verse to break, that the Spot is basically like the reason why when the canon breaks, that like the multiverse starts to break as well. So like, just tie the two together. So Miles was not supposed to be there. He was not supposed to save the police captain. Because of that, Spot is breaking that universe. So I think they can be one and the same, where it is a cause of Spot. But I think if they tied it to the canon events, that would be beautiful, because then the moral dilemma ties our villain and hero together, which is basically like Miles has to make this choice, and Spot's the one who's kind of in control of either A, his father gets killed, or B, Spot destroys that universe. So like it's either or, but it both has to do with the villain. I feel like they didn't directly connect that, but I think like the pieces are there to put that together, because if you don't put that together and the multiverse is just getting destroyed just because, that to me makes the Spot a less cool villain. I think they should just directly tie him into dimensions breaking canon events. Like, all of this has been figured out since Miles, since he was the first anomaly. So why couldn't the Spot be directly tied to that, since he was also created in the exact same moment? That to me would be the perfect way to elevate that even more. I know that doesn't like directly address the things that you brought up, but I felt like just mentioning it because you brought up like the Spot being the reason for what happened in Spider-Man India's universe. So like that to me would be perfect. But I still think that includes a certain level of like, things have to happen a certain way. And maybe that ties into Spot's control over the multiverse. Who knows what they do with it. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that with like, because I brought up the villain stuff earlier. That's what I meant when I said I feel like they could tie him more into that moral dilemma of our main hero to elevate him even more. And it wouldn't have taken that much in order to do that. You know, like little bits of dialogue added along when Miguel is explaining things. And I feel like it would have taken it a step further. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Are you saying that like what happened in Spider-Man India's universe, like things like that, those canon events not being able to happen, basically like weaken the universe for like Spot to like come in and do these things? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's almost like think about the TVA from Loki. And if the TVA was like a truly evil organization that basically said, this is the way things are, and if this doesn't happen, we delete this universe.
The entire. Okay,
That's what I'm saying the Spot could be. Is like, this is how things have to happen, and when you start to mess up the universe, he's going to destroy it because he can travel across the universes. I mean, that's the way that they set him up. It sets him up to be able to do that if he's truly that powerful.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, simply, yes.
Yeah. Okay, then I can see that as well. These canon events weakening universes in order for that to happen. Because then you could still get rid of the canon events like, okay, maybe Uncle Ben doesn't need to die, or maybe this doesn't need to happen in every universe to where I know what you're saying with like the choice of you're going to save your dad or are you going to like, save the universe? What are you going to do? Like you have a choice like Spider-Man PS4 had a choice. I like the canon events being tied into weakening the universe for someone like Spot to come in. Because then if you get rid of Spot, then maybe you can play around with the idea of, okay, maybe Spider-Man India's universe is going to be okay, even though the captain died. It's not the literal end of the world for him. So I like that.
Yeah.
Memish thoughts?
There's a lot of content, but I was gonna change on the topic for a bit. Can we just appreciate the UK, the way they represented the UK with Hobie, Spider-Man Hobie? I think he was great. I gotta back my home ground. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, compared to how other characters in general with Spider-Man, or not Spider-Man, but superhero movies, I feel like they represent the UK. Not in the best way, but I feel like from the area that he was in and the words that he was using, the way he was acting, I think he was spot perfect as a proper UK representative. And I love how people were, it wasn't even just him, the cultural representation that they used in the movies, I think was spot on. Everything, from Spider-Man India to Miles Morales and where is it Puerto Rico? He's Puerto
Rican and African American.
Yeah, and African American. Yeah. So and also the UK, and there's many more like cameos of this. There's like many more. I can't it is a lot of cultural representation, and it was amazing, and I like how they balanced it off with that. And I want to talk about the cameos.
Can I put a warning out there that when we talk about the cameos, like we need to explain the depth behind the Donald Glover cameo because there was so much depth behind that.
So much.
And I've heard people saying like, I thought it was fine. I'm like,
no,
you don't understand this.
This is like
you don't understand.
This is like an embodiment of the butterfly effect.
It's super. Like when I saw him, I was like, this just breaks everything. Like it links. It's even linked to the MCU. It's more. It's literally more than that. You want to go deeper? It's animation with live action. I thought the last time I've seen that. In the same frame. Also, we can go to the MCU. He's from the MCU. He's wearing the prowler suit. Like it's just
take it deeper.
You want to go deeper. He's the uncle of Miles. That means we got the Miles. And we could talk about this for days. Like.
Go deeper.
You want to go deeper?
I want to go. There's so much depth to this.
3:30 a.m. My brain's really limited, but as of now, it's basically it's been confirmed. But it's basically like we're getting closer to that live action Miles Morales. I mean, they confirmed the film. They confirmed it. I can't wait for the casting for that, if that even comes out in the next year or two. But we're getting closer and closer, and I can't wait for that. If they carry on with the same way they use in animation, can't wait for the way they use Miles Morales and the way they use the live action. Also from that, the little slight cameos from like the scenes of them showing old school scenes of like Andrew Garfield mourning his father, and like in the little screen you can see Tom Maguire. I don't remember seeing Tom Holland. Maybe I don't think I saw him.
I don't think I caught anything.
Yeah, I don't think I saw him either. But I did see Toby and I did see Andrew. I got spoiled for Andrew when literally a day before I went on TikTok and I saw an Andrew scene. I was like, oh my god! I was like, no way they're gonna throw something like this in there. And thankfully, it wasn't as big. Like it wasn't as big as a spoiler that I was hoping for because I thought I'd get half the movie spoiled for. But yeah, I like how the way they used other movies and stuff like that. There were so many cameos. I also really like the way they carried on from the first film, from each scene, or not even a scene, from each section of the movie changes, they'll just throw you all the comic books that it's based off.
Yeah.
I just love that bit because like I could do
Let's do
research on
this.
that.
Let's do this one more time.
Let's do it one
I
more
wish
time.
when we saw like the whole group, they would have just like thrown a whole stack.
And all at the same time.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this,
Yeah.
talking over each other. I did want to point out real quick before we get into the cameos. Two things. One, how much I absolutely loved how much of an OG Spider-Punk was. Like, bro, when he tells Miles, just use your palms. I was like, oh, that's it, bro. Like, I was so hyped that he came through at the last minute and was like, all right, I messed everything up. Peace. I'm out of here. And then
Best
just
new
took off.
character except for Miguel.
Oh, dude, he was like such an. I hated. Which I mean, this is just like characters.
Oh, Charlie said, ooh.
No.
Ben
It was
said
just,
Miguel's the best character. I don't know.
Best new
Yeah.
character.
Yeah, best new character.
I would go
think
Miguel and then Spider-Punk. Everybody else. was
Hey,
from
hey,
the
everybody's got their taste, huh?
I'm back in
if you-
Punk number one.
If you were gonna say
Yeah, I'm with-
Spot,
I'm
I've
with
already
Memish.
gone into why he wouldn't quite be at the
I'm
top
with
for
Memish.
me.
Yeah.
I like Hobie.
Yeah,
Hobie's my
Hobie.
guy.
The only thing I didn't do, the whole stuff around like, oh, Gwen, you left your sweater at my place. Oh, and your toothbrush. I was like, Gwen, why are you doing my man like this? So then whenever Miles comes face to face with that other Spider Girl and their senses both go off at the same time and they're like, oh, what's up? I was like, go for it, Miles, dude. Fuck Gwen. She doing you dirty, bro.
Yeah.
Second thing is they took 3 years to animate Spider-Punk. You don't have to do that, bro. You
Yeah.
don't have to spend 3 years to animate one character out of all these people. But the fact that you do, and the fact that you're putting this much attention to detail and this much love into your movie, you're gonna get a banger. You're gonna get that word of mouth. You're gonna get that praise. When you're just like, oh, I mean, they could easily been like, hey, people are gonna gravitate to this movie. We did so good the first one. People are gonna go either way. It's fine. Let's just get this out. That's when you fall into movies like Thor: Love and Thunder, movies like Ant-Man: Quantumania. When you know that no matter what, people are gonna go to the theater to see what happens next in the MCU. What's gonna be up on the plate next? Where is this character going? People are gonna go to your theater. You don't have to try as hard. But when you have something, when you're putting this much attention to detail into characters as little as Spider-Punk, which he wasn't a small character, but like he didn't have a crazy amount of screen time, and you're taking that long to animate him just because, hey, it fits his character. I don't know if y'all saw what Ebba tweeted, but like, his art style is constantly changing is always changing because he doesn't believe in consistency. Again, that's something that people have picked up on. It's not confirmed or denied, but like when you're doing that and taking that long just to be like, hey, this makes sense for his character, let's do this. Oh, that's gonna take so long to animate. Oh well, we're gonna do it anyways. I just love that so much, and that's why he's such like a pivotal piece of the movie for me, because it's like him alone and like what they did with him alone and his character outside of the plot, obviously, and outside of the movie, just shows why this movie is as good as it is, because they put attention to detail and they put love into it. And so I just wanted to touch on that real quick.
I also think that even what you're talking about as how he was like portrayed as in different colors and different styles that he did, and it was also I saw a video on it and I did notice it. It's the frames per second that he was compared to everyone else. Like he was recorded on, I think it was 12 frame. Bear if I'm wrong, maybe it was 12. It was a very low frame rate compared to everyone else. How they got animated, it was like it was like Miles from the first film. Miles was getting recorded on a slow frame rate. Then when he started to gain confidence and become the Spider-Man that he wanted to be, he gained that frame rate and he was moving as smooth as a normal Spider-Man. And it just proves that. But Hobie being the menace and not even being a menace, just being a rebel that he is and not following the rules and just being against like just laws in general and not even following the normal frame rate, just being himself, changing style. It just is perfect for his character. And when I first noticed it, I was like, oh, okay, UK. And I was like, oh, he's doing a lot. And then when I was watching it back, I was like, he was been making the watch in front of us this whole time, and I didn't even notice. Like I was like, the watch. I was watching it, and then I watched it back on a clip. I was like, this guy has been doing it in front of us this whole film, flicking stuff up, fixing it. Like he's been doing it from the beginning. Like he's been noticing, and yeah, it's I think it was perfect. Is there? I was doing a little topic change unless anyone wants to carry on talking about Hobie.
No, I was just gonna say, since you brought up the watch, I also like how Captain Stacy is like, oh yeah, your friend stopped by and gave this to you. He's like, he said something along the lines of like, I don't really know how I feel about him, or that guy's a weird kid or something. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Anyways, yeah, now we can move on to like the cameos and everything.
Yeah,
Ben, do you want to dissect the
I'll do my best, man.
Of Donald Glover, you know, and where this whole thing started to Community being renewed to where we're at now.
I'll do my best. I have to say, like, I know the general outline of things. I might not know the details very well.
Yeah.
I'll try to go through the whole thing and just like, you know, go on a spiel, and then you guys can just let me cook. Let me cook on this, okay?
let me cook.
So this is, and again, this is just what I know. Okay, you got to preface this. I might have some.
I know
details
some,
wrong.
so anything that he doesn't, I'll fact check him.
So many years ago, in like the very early days of YouTube, Donald Glover, there was like a video of him wearing a Spider-Man costume. This turned into like a little bit of a joke on the internet. He ended up being the one who inspired Miles Morales as a character when he was written into the comics. And also he was one of the first people to voice Miles Morales as an animated character. That later turned into a joke on the comedy show Community, where he also wore a Spider-Man outfit. So again, kind of this like personality. And then, you know, fast forward later on, he gets to be in Spider-Man Homecoming. I don't know if there's anything in between, but he gets to be in Spider-Man Homecoming as Uncle Aaron, obvious hint to his connection to Miles Morales. They even like mentioned that he has a nephew in Spider-Man Homecoming. Hopefully that will come to fruition later in the MCU. I'm sure it will, and we'll get to see Donald Glover again. So that was kind of just a little thing. But what Across the Spider-Verse does is it brings him in as the Prowler. And what's so amazing about that is obviously he was Uncle Aaron in Spider-Man Homecoming. We already know that. But the other thing about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is in the end, we see that versions of Miles Morales turn into Spider-Man or the Prowler. And so it's cool because Donald Glover originally was Spider-Man and he inspired Miles Morales. He voiced Miles Morales. And now we're seeing him as the Prowler, which mirrors Miles Morales' story that we've already seen. But we can take it a step further if we look at his career even as a rapper, because he has an alter ego, Childish Gambino. He talks about it a ton throughout a bunch of his albums. And so he already has like two different versions of himself that have conversed with one another and talked about one another and talked about the different personalities. And so all of this has come full circle for him to be Prowler in live action, which we know like he once was Miles Morales, he's Uncle Aaron, the different like versions of one another. It is like a beautiful cameo that just like pushes everything so much further. I think like those who don't appreciate it probably don't know that full history with it. Yeah. I don't understand why anyone would be like, oh, that's kind of just like a silly little stupid cameo. And I've seen a lot of that. And I don't think people realize how far it goes. So to my knowledge, that's the history that I know. And that already gives me such a deep appreciation. If there's more, I mean, that'd be crazy.
The one thing I'll add is that before they rebooted with Andrew, there were talks about going with a black Spider-Man, and he was in the discussion for.
There was like Donald Glover for Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I think that's why he wore the Spider-Man
suit
in Community.
Yeah.
So because I remember being a kid and hearing like everyone talk about because I think that was when like after Andrew, like Charlie said, and they were thinking about a Spider-Man for the MCU and stuff like that, or maybe just like a new Spider-Man. I remember it was crazy. Like everyone was campaigning for Donald Glover to be Spider-Man. And obviously we didn't get that. But then they were like, hey, well, why don't we introduce a black Spider-Man? Why don't we introduce Miles Morales? Because I think Miles Morales was made in 2016? He's
2011.
2011. Yeah, 2011 I think is right. Like he's a fairly new addition, to the Spiderverse or whatever. And so, then they ended up adding Miles Morales, and then now we're here with Aaron Davis, or Donald Glover as Aaron Davis. the Prowler in Across the Spider-Verse. It's insane how deep that
Yeah.
rabbit hole goes.
That'll be so cool, man.
And I because I saw someone do it like a butterfly effect, and it was like Community being renewed for a second season, even though it's like it wasn't that well received, and then turning into like two of the best comic book movies ever made, with as Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, all because of Childish Gambino, Donald Glover in that Spider-Man costume in Community.
For me, that I had told you guys in the group chat, like that one, I liked the cameo. It just felt like that one just felt like more dragged out than the others to me, and I noticed it. Even on second rewatch.
For a good reason.
I understand it, but
Donald
still.
and Miles, like, come on.
It's just like Miles just stands there for an awkward amount of time, and it's like, all right, man, come on.
And then he looks.
I get it, but like,
it's not polite to stare.
Yeah.
You know who should have had a long time? Insomniac Spider-Man, dude. Like,
he looked clean.
He looked so clean, dude.
It was like he looked clean.
It actually did look insanely good. I don't know how everything that they blended, like the different animation, live action and whatnot. I still like some of it still blows my mind, but like that, he looked like he was there.
Yeah,
he was beautiful. On the topic of that, sorry, Charlie, I keep cutting you off. On the topic of that, how are we gonna explain Genki playing Spider-Man in his like
that's the thing, because that's what I said. It was like, because Miles is in that game, but I guess it's just a version like Cortez said in the Discord. I guess just a version without Miles, or it's just a version of the game where we have no idea who's the second Spider-Man. It's just never takes his mask off.
Well, why can't that happen?
That's like
and it's an alternate universe, so like sure, maybe they made the game like that.
I think in a universe where superheroes are real, I mean, you're gonna get video games and media based on them anyways. So.
But so that's what I always wondered, even about the first. So did everybody in that world know about Spider-Man and know who he was then? Did they already knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man?
In which world?
In Miles's world in the first movie? Do they all know that Peter Parker was Spider-Man? Because those comics existed beforehand. Of maybe he was just not named or something, or named something different.
Somebody else.
I don't think
the way I think of like whenever they do comic books in a comic book show, I take it as like they base that comic book on what's happening in real life. So like the X-Men in Logan, we were talking about Logan earlier. The comics they use in Logan, I mean, they're made based off of the X-Men in real life or in that movie. So I just take it as like maybe they made comics around Spider-Man and who Spider-Man was. Like, oh, he's this normal teenager named Charlie Jacobson. Who knows? So something like that.
Yeah, probably not. Let's be honest.
Here's a mix of Peter Parker.
Here's what I'm gonna give y'all. I know when this popped up, all of y'all were like, the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Get out of here.
No, you did not watch that show. None of y'all.
Hey, here's the thing.
None of y'all cared about that show like I did. All right.
Here's the thing. For almost every single Spider-Man that showed up, and I say Spider-Man because like it's spider people, but there's also spider things. They had the freaking Spider-Man popsicle
plushie.
Spider-Man running around. So I just say Spider-Man. It's easier. We've always said Spider-Man. Okay, I don't know how else to say it. Spiderlings, whatever. Every single one that popped up, there was a guy like a few seats away on the right who'd just be like, "No way, it's this Spider-Man!" And then a few minutes later, "No way, it's this Spider-Man!" Every single time without fail. Every single time.
I will say the only way I recognize most of them was the suits from the PS4 Spider-Man. Like the one with the collar popped up and the leather jacket. I was like, no, that's just a costume I remember. No, I don't know them too deep. So
my one thing this isn't really a cameo, but I guess you could say it is just because like why did he get a character poster? Ben Reilly? Like he was not present in this movie.
But he was
just much at all.
He was so good every single time he was on screen. He was just like all dramatic. Yeah. Oh my god, I loved his animation, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved his animation so much.
He was super nice, yeah. And I know there's a lot of people complaining, and I don't have any touchstone for Ben Reilly in the comics. I never read the Clone Saga or anything like that. Yeah. I've always loved his outfit growing up. I've always loved that Scarlet Spider outfit. But him acting like totally like emo and depressed and whatnot. It was funny, but I get, well, I can understand if you don't like that because you read his comics and you think he's not supposed to be like that at all. I know a lot of people are in uproar about that on Twitter and stuff recently, but yeah, I just think like he wasn't that prevalent. I mean, obviously he was part of the final team at the end, but even then, Gwen just like kicks him to wherever the hell she kicks him, probably back to her universe, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. And so maybe he's probably just gonna have one tiny little thing in the background in Beyond the Spider-Verse as well. I know I'm jumping 1,000 different directions, but also speaking of Beyond the Spider-Verse, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I just want to say I think it's gonna get delayed. I think it's getting pushed.
I do too.
Yeah, I don't think it's coming out March 29th.
We never get lucky and like stay on the specific date that they. It's very rare that happens.
Yeah,
like
I assume they've done like all of the voice acting for it. Would be like my guess.
But also at the same time, like they might do the voice acting like well after, because at least this is the one example I have. So maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. But Spectacular Spider-Man, Josh Keaton, the guy who voiced him in the show and in the movie here, he didn't go in for to record for that until March. They had him in March.
Yeah,
for that,
I guess maybe they do like most of the animation first or something.
Yeah,
but. Either way, though, if they've been, I mean, maybe that's why this film got delayed, because they did both projects pretty close back to back, so they have a good jump start. I mean, they clearly have to, or else it'd be another 3 years or whatever. But I think I don't know. I'm holding out hope that like they have a good jump start where they can still do it, because I just like the writer strike shouldn't affect it. They definitely have had it all written. They wrote both parts together, absolutely, 100%. And they've been working on the animation. Like, I don't feel like the jump from Into the Spider-Verse to Across the Spider-Verse, we're not going to see that same like jump in animation, because this film looks very different than Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, it's similar style, but it's clearly like changed quite a bit, and they've gone for a lot more. I don't think we're going to see the same difference between this film and Beyond.
Yeah, I think I don't. So yeah, when I say it gets delayed, I want to like preface. I don't think it's going to get pushed out 5 years like the two first film and this film have been so that far apart. I think max it's probably going to be like the end of 2024. I'd say it gets pushed back to maybe early 2025.
I'm gonna back it. I think it's not gonna get delayed. I think it's gonna come out on time. Listen, I don't know why I'm gonna back it.
We'd all be happy.
I feel like because they have to plan this. If they're gonna put the amount of love that they did in the first and second film, and they planned it to be on that day, I don't see it being delayed. Maybe because, okay, I'm assuming, this movie did get delayed, right?
Yeah.
It got delayed.
Like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, okay. I just feel like if there's a two-parter, they've definitely got animations pre-recorded. If they're smart, maybe the ones that take up the most animations. I don't know anything about animations, but I'm assuming the ones that take very long, like Spider-Punk, I'm assuming they would have started creating Spider-Punk first before starting everyone else in Across the Spider-Verse, because he will take the longest. But I feel like, now speaking of it, there could be a delay, but I'm going to back it. I think it's going to back it on March. I just have a feeling.
I mean, unless they pulled an Avatar and just like made a shit ton of movies at the same time, and then they're just like, all right, now we can just drop this one and then spend the next year perfecting this one, and then drop it, spend the next year perfecting whatever, and blah blah blah. I can see them.
Keyword perfecting.
Like
Peak.
I got a question though. Do you think after the second part, the universe should stop, like the Spider-Verse universe?
I feel like they can take it. Shit, they can make like TV shows. They can make more movies, more spin-offs. Like if they really wanted to. Is it even stopping after 3?
Didn't Sony? I just saw Sony. Somebody at
They're
Sony said
that
a Spider-Man. that too. Actually, yeah, I forgot about that. That's a TV show. Yeah, they're doing an Amazon show of that. Yeah, but there's a Spider-Woman movie that they're making, and it's going to be based on Gwen.
People said, and I heard that's like sooner than we'd expect.
Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah, so
yeah,
but
continue.
But like for more Spider-Verse movies, I think absolutely, because I feel like we're still so early in Miles' journey, that like beyond the Spider-Verse, it kind of sounds like a conclusion type of name, like this is the end type of thing. I just feel like there's so much time left for him as a character. Like unless they kill him off in the third film, I see them continuing to some extent into the future.
Yeah.
But what that looks like, I don't really know.
I mean,
they shouldn't milk it for too long.
But I could also definitely see them wrapping up the multiverse stuff or the Spider-Verse stuff and beyond the Spider-Verse, and then just like, oh, and now Miles lives out the rest of his life fighting crime in his little world, and like everything is fine, like as for him, and they ended at 3. I could see them doing that as well.
Sure.
And so who knows? I mean, I wouldn't be mad at a couple more movies. I mean, if they're all like up to this level, go for it, dude.
Before we like move away from cameo type of stuff, and I know we kind of already have, but I just want to throw this out there. This doesn't really have to do with cameos as much as like when Spot was traveling across the different universes, like he goes to the Venom universe, which I feel like was a cool like little nod, nothing too crazy though. The other thing that I wanted to point out is when he goes to the Lego universe, something that's cool that I learned after the fact is that the animator who worked on that was a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah, I've seen that
did
one.
like he remade the trailer in Lego, and Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who worked on this movie, already worked on the Lego movie, so they know how to do Lego animation. But they decided to bring in this kid, which is why it looked different than their Lego movies looked, but still looked really cool. But apparently that kid got hired like just earlier this year is when he got contracted to do it. So he did it just within a couple of months to be put in this movie, which is insane. But also, I feel like that's just like, I love these filmmakers and the level of care that they have. They see a fan who put passion into a project and they're like, hey, he should come on and do like a 2-minute segment in our movie and animate it for us. Like, imagine you're a 14-year-old kid who likes making Lego animations, and then you go see Across the Spiderverse and you get to see that on the big screen.
So
I mean, that's
crazy.
just, it's insane, but it's so cool that they even considered doing that, because you really don't hear about that kind of stuff nowadays.
No.
Yeah,
And it's love. It's love.
I was also surprised that we spent that much time in the Lego universe. Like whenever they kept going, I was like, oh shit. I was like, dude, we're staying in it for a little bit. Like, dude, I don't know if that was like announced or I stayed away from everything, especially Brandon texted me and said that he got spoiled with the Aaron Davis stuff. He told me during the movie that it was Aaron Davis as the Prowler. I keep saying Aaron Davis. It was Donald Glover as the Prowler that was spoiled for him. Whenever I texted y'all and was like, hey, y'all be careful, there's spoilers online. It's that was what he got spoiled for him. And so I stayed away from everything. And so whenever I saw that we were still in the Lego universe and that we went inside Peter Parker's like office, I was like, oh, this is so sick, dude. And then that was it. So I hope we like visit it for longer next movie.
I love that little moment where Gus like, thank you, Peter. You're one of our best.
One of our best.
that was really funny.
I love that, bro.
I wish we would have seen him randomly come in when all the Spider-Men are chasing down. He might have been in the background somewhere randomly, but just like a tiny little Peter Parker.
Yeah. Also, maybe
that'd be funny.
Maybe I'm overthinking this, but like, what happens if? Because like we saw PS4 Spider-Man was in there. Like, are we gonna get any like hints? Like what happens when we see these characters? You know, like if we were to see Toby, Andrew, and Tom Holland, which I'm assuming maybe they're saving for Beyond, are we gonna hear about it? Like, oh, this is their second time, you know, traveling the multiverse, and for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, it'll be his first. You would think that'd be a pretty big thing, you know, or this whole Spider Society. Like, you think we're gonna hear about it? Like, the closest media is Marvel Spider-Man 2. So, like, are we gonna hear about it then? Like, you know, I don't know.
See, that's the thing. It brings up an interesting conversation about, ironically enough, canon to each of these different universes. And someone tweeted, I remember after I saw the movie the first time, that these universes obviously aren't connected because nobody glitches in the MCU when they travel to a different multiverse. But what I liked that somebody else said is like, that's easily explainable because one, you use tech to travel through the multiverse, and the other is magic. But then somebody also said, well, what about Kang? And so that's a valid point, because Kang uses his time chair, and his time chair is tech. But also you could say, well, Kang is from the 31st century. Maybe the tech from that century has perfected multiversal travel, and to the point where you don't glitch. And also maybe his suit prevents him from glitching.
Or he also has certain control over the timeline, which means that he can travel at his will and say that it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, literally.
Because Time Lord Kang, whatever, little weirdo.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, and but as for the PS4 stuff, that's always been my wonder too. Because he was in a comic story, I think it was called Spider-Geddon. He popped up in, which was like a Spiderverse type story, in like the main 616 run, and he was there for, I want to say, like one issue or something like that. And I thought that wasn't canon, but they just released I have it up there, a prequel comic before Spider-Man 2 set, covering Miles and Peter's life, and it references, and this prequel comic they confirmed is canon to that universe, to the PS4 PS5 universe. But in that prequel comic, they say see Spider-Geddon to see what they're talking about here, and so I guess that part is canon. So I'm not sure if like we'll ever even get a confirmation of Peter being at this Spider Society, if that's going to be canon and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm sure we are going to see Andrew and Tom and Toby in the next one. At least Andrew and Tom, I could definitely see them popping up. Definitely Tom for sure, but maybe Toby and Andrew might be a little iffy. But as for how that plays in, I mean, I don't know. I'd be super interested to see. Especially if like we haven't seen Tom at all since No Way Home, and then he just pops up and Beyond the Spider-Verse, he's like, all right, man.
I don't know. I don't think he'll be there. I think higher chance of Andrew. If I had to put money on one person, I think Andrew will have the highest. I think Toby's put down, like, let's say now boxing terms, he's put down the gloves. Tom maybe, but I feel like Tom's in a predicament right now where he's lost everything. He's in the morning stage. I don't think it'll be suitable for him to be in a Spider-Verse and be like, hey, Miles, like, he's in his own canon event. He's in his own world. But I do have a theory. In No Way Home, when Toby and Andrew came into Tom's universe, was it just me, or were they not as shocked as a normal person would be? Like, maybe because we didn't maybe see them when they moved into this universe. When they arrived, Andrew's first questions was, does science work here? Does this physics type of work? Does it work? Is it like this? Is this universe normal? Like, does it? Oh, it includes magic. And then Toby goes through like Doctor Strange's portal. I know this sounds very random. I'm gonna get to like the bottom of it, but like when he arrived, I felt like they weren't as shocked as a normal person would be, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm going too far into this, but I feel like the reason why if I'm right, if the reason why they're not as shocked is because they're already part of the Spider community. And I think they're already in across the Spider-Verse, but they're just not shown yet, if that makes sense. Because they've been shown as a obviously a canon event of Andrew mourning his Uncle Ben. Same with Toby. I think he was mourning someone in one parts of the project.
Uncle Ben.
Yeah, Uncle Ben too. Both of them mourning. So they know who they are. They know who Toby is. They know who Andrew is. They'll definitely know who Tom is. But I feel like they might already have a connection. I think mainly Andrew, maybe Toby, but I think definitely one of the two are already in the Spider community, but they're just not as been shown yet. Mainly because of No Way Home. I don't know if that's it's a bit of a stretch, but I don't know.
I think it's possible, and here's the thing that goes into it though, is that if we're saying that they're already a part of this and that they're a part of the storyline and stuff that can happen with this multiverse, then we also have to accept the fact that Miles is the first anomaly across the entire Spider-Verse, which also means that the events of No Way Home, which were referenced in Across the Spider-Verse, that happens after Into the Spider-Verse. That happens after Miles is the first anomaly. So it still elevates Miles to be like he was the very first anomaly. And since they were referenced in this film, I think it's very possible that they had some interaction with Miguel, unless Miguel like was going to stop and help the situation, and then they just figured it out, right?
Yeah.
We don't know, but the fact that Miguel was even aware of it tells me that he at least knows who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not they've already had connections there, I mean, as far as we know, I mean, at least from the events that we've seen, Miles was the first, and we don't know of any events that have happened between then and Across the Spider-Verse. So I feel like there's no way of knowing unless they go back and have some other event involving Andrew and Toby that involves the multiverse.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they'd go back and do that much. Like, that's a big thing to just
Yeah.
drop on us, that like, hey, they've already traveled the Spider-Verse before. I feel like that's a lot.
And also, he did say Doctor Strange and the Little Nerds. So maybe that didn't imply Toby. Maybe it implied Tom and I don't know, Tom and his crew. Maybe it did include Toby and Andrew, but they got dashed into the diamond. They got dashed into that universe.
I think he just said nerd singular. So like
Did he
I
say
took it as like
Strange and-
I took it as Doctor Strange and Tom Holland
Yeah.
because they broke the multiverse.
Mhm.
I don't think they were like blaming Toby and Andrew, more so just saying like this kid broke the multiverse.
Yeah.
I still think what I said is true though, that like
Yeah, that's
it'd
true.
be crazy to try and introduce a whole nother multiversal event that Andrew and Toby were involved in prior to No Way Home.
Yeah, I mean it does make sense, but then I won't be surprised if like they're there if they're and either because I feel like I don't know what's better. I don't know if them coming they're gonna be. I feel like there's a higher chance of them being in the Beyond the Spider-Verse, and if they are gonna be in it, there's multiple ways they could do it. But I think the two main ways they could be introduced is either them being introduced into the final battle, if there is a final battle, or them being introduced in a massive spider fight or something like that. Either with them having knowledge of Miles and his doings, or having no knowledge and going with the flow. And I feel like if they had to pick, I feel like maybe there's another option that I'm not thinking of, but I feel like the best option is for them to know already. So yeah, I mean it could go both ways.
Yeah, which is kind of why like I kind of think they just won't be in it, and if they are, like they might be fully masked and they're just
yeah,
they're
could
just kind of there. I don't know.
Yeah,
That would be my bet. I don't think that they'd introduce them in any sort of like significant way.
Yeah,
I agree. I think they'll be masked. I agree. Something I wanted to talk about, because Ben mentioned it again, and I forgot to bring it up the first time that he talked about it. I actually, the first time around, I initially didn't like that the whole Miles was an anomaly thing, because it kind of really felt like to me that like they were trying to make him not Spider-Man even more. But then when you think about it, that makes him, it hammers home the point from the first movie even more, that like anyone can wear the mask. And I wonder if, because I'm thinking about the tagline from this movie, anyone can wear the mask, but it's what you do with it that matters. I don't know if that was like the best. I don't think that tagline worked as well as the tagline from the first movie, just because of the nature of this movie and where it's left. Obviously Miles is doing the right thing, quote unquote, with the mask, but it's left to be continued. And so I feel like that might work better with the next movie, I would say, because granted, this is like the first steps of Miles taking those steps, to say that word again, I guess, to move towards making the right decisions while wearing the mask. But that conclusion, that follow through, that climax, that everything isn't going to culminate until the third movie. And so I don't know if that tagline worked quite as well as just anyone can wear the mask, but I will say it took some thought for me after seeing it the first time, for because I didn't like that at all, making him an anomaly. I thought it played for a great moment, like again with Miguel's Oscar Isaac got to perform. I love that whole scene on the train. Like, you're the original anomaly. If you were never bit, Peter Parker would still be alive, and then none of this would have happened. I love that, and I also love hearing it again when Miles is swinging through the end of the movie. That's what I almost talked about at the beginning of this episode, by the way, was the final swing. I love that so much, and why I said this in the group chat. Why I think that the movie could have ended there, and I'm not upset with where the movie ended either. But the first movie ended with Miles and his swing, and it's very hopeful and very like anyone can wear the mask. You just like, if you didn't know that, then I hope you do now. You can wear the mask, and then now we see the consequences of wearing the mask. We see all the toll that has put on Miles as he's swinging through. We see him thinking about what Miguel told him, that he's a mistake, and what he already felt bad about his universe's Spider-Man dying. And to hear that again from another Spider-Man saying that it's his fault that Spider-Man died, and then to think about how he's potentially going to lose his dad in a few days. All of his friends in his eyes just betrayed him and talked trash behind his back. Like, I thought that was that's why I was expecting the movie to end. I was like, yo, this is going to be such a sick dichotomy between the ending of the first one and this one. And then it didn't end right there. And then you got a couple little more moments like Gwen with Miles's parents and whatnot. But I mean, man, that's one of my favorite moments in the movie for sure, is that final swing.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. Is there anything else?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about the multiverse stuff with the MCU. Yeah. Okay. Here's how I'll simply put it. I think in the last couple of years, we've gotten 4 movies that have focused on the multiverse. We've gotten No Way Home and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in the MCU. And then outside of the MCU, we've gotten Across the Spiderverse. I guess Into the Spiderverse will tag along as well. But then also, and we don't have to go into this, it's an unfair comparison. It's totally different. Everything, everywhere, all at once. I'll just bring that up. And I feel like every film outside of the MCU that has dealt with the multiverse has done such a good job with explaining the multiverse and also not limiting themselves to the multiverse. They embrace it. They go for the craziness. And here's why I say that. Think about Spider-Man No Way Home. A spell goes wrong, and in Doctor Strange's own words, everybody who knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man is going to travel to our universe. Isn't it a little convenient that the only characters that we see are the villains we know and the 2 Spider-Men we know? Like, when you think about it that way, that really puts it into perspective that, like, the multiverse doesn't actually matter in that aspect. They really just wanted to tell this particular story. They limited themselves to that. And so what they said really doesn't matter because it's not true at all. And also, like, the chance that of all of those characters that Ned would happen to open a portal to the 2 that we know, like, that's just insane. That to me puts it into perspective how much they limited that movie. And also, I just think, like, as a more general statement, they've done a bad job of explaining it. Like, why do all of the Doctor Strange variants look exactly the same, but all of the Spider-Man variants look different? And again, I think it just goes back to them being very selective of, like, we're just going to do this how we want to do it for each story, and not it doesn't feel like the multiverse when you start to get the perspective from other films. So I think this movie really made me realize the convenience of how the MCU has handled it and the lack of explanation for how it works, which is why I said I want to rewatch No Way Home, because then I feel like, Doctor Strange will say the spell, we'll only see like 5-6 characters that we've seen before, and it'll seem kind of dumb. So that's why I said I wanted to rewatch it. And that's kind of the thought process I've had the last few days after Across the Spiderverse. I feel like it's given me a different perspective on how the MCU has just, in my opinion, so poorly handled the multiverse so far.
Yeah, and I think I agree for a large part of what you're saying. I would also say that I just don't think that the MCU has and granted, they it's not that they haven't had the chance to, because looking at both of these two movies, in two movies they've done a lot more with the multiverse than the MCU has with a TV show and two movies, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but that's the thing, a TV show and two movies. I feel like knowing the MCU and that it's such a longer story, and like you are supposed to continue to watch to get that story, and we know that it's going to culminate in Kang Dynasty, maybe and Secret Wars as well later on. That like we're getting these little pieces of that story. Granted, I 100% agree with what you're saying, as well as like these movies and Everything Everywhere All at Once really go for it. Like throwing in Spider Ham in the first one, you know, like Spider-Man Noir, the anime Spider Woman, Spider Girls, and the robot, that the psychic connection, like that was super super cool. Versus like the coolest thing I guess the MCU did is like they fought with two Doctor Strange variants fought each other with music notes, you know, and so which was cool. That's a very comic booky thing.
Multiverse of madness.
Listen. That's something I as much as I'm like joking about, that is something I very much vehemently defend when it comes to that movie. That's a very much like comic booky style thing to do, campy thing. But I would say that the MCU just hasn't really had the chance to show us that, considering their long drawn out storytelling with the multiverse. Not that that's a full excuse. Like I said, that these two movies, they did it in one movie, realistically, Into the Spiderverse, as well as Everything Everywhere All at Once. They did it in one movie, the wildness and the wackiness that can come from the multiverse, and just not being afraid to go for it. But also, I would just say, for what you said about Doctor Strange saying the spell, I would just say, like, you know, maybe everybody was going to come through, but he does say that like he closed it before too many people could get through. And it's still coincidental that like the only people that came through are the people that we know, kind of thing, versus like same kind of thing in Spider-Verse, even though it's not people who know Peter Parker, it's just other Spider-Verse people. But then the collider was only on for a few seconds. I can't remember why the first one, why did it shut down in originally? I don't think Peter stopped it. It blew up, it malfunctioned, I believe. The first time, and so then just while it was on, it just sucked in Spider-Man Noir and Spider-Gwen and all those people. So I imagine it's a similar kind of thing. It's just a short amount of time that the spell was active, like those kind of people were brought through. But again, very coincidental. They could have done something crazy with it, like done like an older Donald Glover Spider-Man. You know, that would have been interesting to see. But yeah, no, and I guess and. Again, not to vehemently defend the MCU, but just because I'm actually more on your side than you think with this, because like that is, especially watching both of those movies back to back, and then Everything Everywhere All at Once last year, like they are getting stomped out when it comes to these multiversal stories, and it doesn't bode well for the MCU, and it's already not overly critical, but it's very like sour state for a lot of the audience as of late. Like that's not helping their image at all when these other movies are coming along and handling this next saga of the MCU way better than the MCU has so far.
I agree with everything that you said. I think they can still get to that point with the more like craziness, embracing the multiverse. I will say that regardless of that being true, it's the fact that it hasn't been more clearly laid out. And in fact, the things that they've given us so far haven't added up super well together, in my opinion. Just like with the way variance works and traveling the multiverse and whatnot, I don't feel like that's been like clearly this is how things work that we've seen other movies do within a single film. So even if they're going to get to that, I still feel like they should just lay it out a little bit more clearly.
It's funny because whenever Everything Everywhere All at Once, like whenever the trailer first came out and people saw that they were dealing with multiverse, the main discourse was, oh my gosh, look at all these other movies trying to like, you know, ride the high of the Marvel making the multiverse, and people were dogging the movie for it. They were like, what, look at this movie trying to like do what the MCU does, and like, and I remember seeing all of that, and then it ends up doing it better. And like another thing is the coolest thing about like the multiverse in Spider-Man No Way Home that wasn't necessarily safe, because we've talked about Toby and Andrew, and like I'm not trying to take that for granted because that's crazy that we even got to see them in live action. I'm not trying to downplay that at all, but like, yes, the villains we see are the ones that they've had to deal with, and the Spider-Man we see are the ones we've always seen. But also, whenever the sky's breaking and it's showing other villains that know who Spider-Man is, the furthest they go is an outline of a villain that's there for a split second. Yeah. And it's like, come on, like if you want to make it crazy, throw like 3 Cravens in there, throw some Rhinos in there, like throw some people that we've never even seen. Like, you know, just go all out. Don't play it safe. And I mean, I'm hoping that like maybe they get even crazier. I mean, I don't know if y'all saw that there were reports today that apparently Marvel wants to split Secret Wars up into 2 parts and have a whole phase dedicated to Battle World in between those 2 parts. And so like something like that would be cool. Sorry,
That'd be nice.
Barking at nobody outside.
I did not see that, but that sounds cool.
But that they're thinking of that, and so like maybe that we have some hope there, and you know, but at the same time, I don't see Marvel capitalizing on it. You know, like I said, they've been playing it safe for the majority of this past whole phase, and even Ant-Man Quantumania was way too safe for comfort, and so I don't know. I say that I hope so, but then again, I got to look at who we're dealing with.
Don't you think that they're just going to, like, if they have a whole bunch of characters show up towards the end of Phase 6 in the Avengers movies, don't you think it's just going to be mostly actors that we've seen before? Like, we're going to see a couple of Bruce Banners where we know both of the actors. Yeah. Like, I don't feel like they're going to embrace it to the extent where you can just have random different versions of Hulk showing up that look different. They're different sizes and whatnot. Like, I don't think they're going to go for that. I think they're still going to play it safe, which is going to be, like, it's going to be cool, but I feel like almost the other films that we've gotten and the perspective that we now have on the multiverse makes that way less cool than it would have been. Like, it doesn't feel as significant if we're only going to be limited to the people that we already know.
Yeah. I mean, they need to take risks. That's it, really.
Yeah, I mean, closest thing we'll get to that is like maybe Joaquin Phoenix as Doctor Strange. Things that were teased out as casting rumors from, you know, years and months ago, being like actual character. Like that's the closest I feel like they'll, because then it's like, oh, they'll know this one. Dude, I mean, yeah, we know Spider-Ham, but it's like barely, and they threw him in here. We didn't need a Spider-Man plushie. We didn't need a popsicle Spider-Man swinging around, but they gave it to us, you know, and like that's what makes them so cool. And you know, they don't
but also in, like, let's say now in Marvel's MCU's defense, you could also say that the MCU's live action, and there is a difference, I think, with animation and live action with creativity. I feel like it's gonna take Spider-Ham in live action. I think it would have had the same audience reaction compared to, like, experimenting with animation is way more safer, and it's easier to get a better reaction from audiences, in my opinion, than experimenting in live action. Not saying that it won't work, but I feel like with the MCU, they aren't putting their foot on the gas. They've just been in clutch control. They'll be like, you know what? I feel like they're in the mood now. They're saying they're gonna watch the film, so we're gonna give them a little bit of what they want. So John Krasinski as as part of the Fantastic Four, just little cameos, but nothing too crazy. Nothing that's gonna affect the MCU. Just little stuff that, you know, that might appeal, like a little appetizer, but nothing that can actually change. As of now, every single multiverse film has literally been it's just like a normal MCU film. If anything, if you think about it, it's not good. It's not really been good plot wise. It's not experimental. Like Doctor Strange versus Doctor Strange and Mutant Magic Notes, I feel like they could have done. That's probably one of the best things. Loki, they did do their thing. They did do good stuff with the multiverse, but obviously they could have went a step further and go crazy with it. But obviously, it's a TV show. I feel like they could have gone so much. Maybe season 2 can prove me wrong. I'm not saying they have a lot of time they have a lot of time to fix this multiversal phase, in my opinion. But I'm just happy now that the next projects that are coming is kind of edging away from the multiverse. We've got Secret Invasion. The Marvels might include it. Then we've got Captain America. So I feel like some new fresh air, because I feel like that's what so far the movies that don't include multiverse has. It's a fact. The movies that don't include don't really include the multiverse has been better in the recent phases. Apart from
Except for Thor. Except for Thor.
Yeah, I forgot that film.
Well, not every movie. I think he's just saying in general.
In general, yeah, I feel like the films in the recent where when the multiverse saga started, I feel like the films that don't include multiverse or are not mainly based on it, I feel like have been a tad bit better.
Like Eternals.
But
Listen, bro, we got a bunch of MCU haters up in here, bro. I'm listening to all three of these kids talk down.
Don't group
like-
me in. Don't
Okay,
group me
I'm
in.
listening to all three of
Don't
these
group
kids
me in.
talk down on the
Johnny.
MCU. Also,
No.
speaking of the variance thing, I was just thinking about this. I actually don't agree with that point because if you think of the first Into the Spider-Verse movie, the only version of Peter Parker we saw, they all look the same. Every Peter Parker we saw looked the same. Only changed now in Across the Spider-Verse, we saw Gwen's Peter. That's the only different Peter we saw. Every other Peter, even Ben Reilly, looked like Peter, just blonde, which makes sense. He's a clone of Peter.
Yeah, but Into the Spider-Verse has laid out a more clear foundation for how that works, whereas in the MCU, you had No Way Home where all Peter Parkers looked different, and Doctor Strange where all Doctor Stranges looked the same. That's my point, is like Spider-Verse at least stayed consistent. MCU is just all over the place.
Okay, yeah, sure. And one could say, like, looking at the Into the Spider-Verse, we have the MJ in Miles's universe looks the exact same as the MJ in Into the in Peter's universe. But so I'm wondering where did Into the Spider-Verse line up the more consistent aspect of that? Because all we saw was that in the first movie versus the very beginning of this second movie, we see a different looking version of Peter Parker altogether. Looks nothing like the other two. So I'm wondering where that comes from. Like, where did they set that basis for you? Mind?
It's not like they clearly stated something, but like even with Across the Spider-Verse, we see we now have seen two versions of Uncle Aaron, two versions of Miles Morales, two versions of his mother. All of them look the exact same. Mm-hmm. I feel like just as a generalization, they have basically said like all of these characters look the same across the different universes. It's just that a different person is meant to be Spider-Man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But then how do you explain that Peter Parker looking different?
I don't know. I can't listen.
That because then I would liken something like that to Loki, because Loki was the first showing of the multiverse we ever got, and then Loki had one or two that looked exactly like him, but then every other one was like different person, even different species entirely. So I would say like variants can be the same, and maybe the only variants we've seen of Doctor Strange, the 5 or whatever, all look like him. Granted, convenient. I agree with that 100%. Super convenient. But then you go to the Spider-Man, the live action Spider-Man. They all look different, just like Loki. Most of them, the majority of them, look different. Maybe Doctor Strange is like what was Wanda, like the Nexus person? Nexus being? I don't actually think so. I'm just saying that in terms of like trying to figure out what's the haps here, but
yeah, and it's not that I have a clear explanation for it. It's more so that like the MCU has felt convenient with how they've decided to handle it. Whereas like it's not like Spider-Verse that Peter Parker looked different out of convenience. Like that's not the way to explain it. Whereas for the MCU, the Peter Parkers were the Spider-Man we've seen because that was convenient and that's the story that they wanted to tell for No Way Home. Yeah. That's where I think the distinction is. Like Peter Parker's looking different in certain universes and Across the Spider-Verse doesn't make a difference to the story. It is crucial for Spider-Man No Way Home to operate the way that it does. I think it's just a matter of convenience more so than it is like I have a clear, distinct explanation between the two.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't think if it was two Tom Holland lookalikes in No Way Home that it would have worked as well?
Oh no, of course not.
because of the experiences that Andrew and Toby had in their
Yeah.
movies, and we understand like what they've been through.
As an audience, which again is just the convenience factor, because you benefit from people who have watched 5 other Spider-Man movies that are not connected to the MCU.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I feel like multiverses are made to be confusing. So, the fact that the MCU is, as I said, okay. So I feel like the most simplest way to just like give a summary of the MCU's way of explaining multiverse stories is that simple terms, they're lazy to take risks and it's confusing because it is really confusing because there's rules and there's regulations that they don't state properly, but then that you think that they're going to state, but then they don't, and they don't explain why. And that's with the MCU in general. But compared to other multiverse movies, it just seems way more simple. Different versions of yourself, like in Spider-Man, different versions of yourself, same kind of event, but anyone can wear that mask. But in the Spider community, they're following the rules of you're supposed to go through this kind of event, etc. But in the MCU, however, it's literally so much stuff that has been going on for so long, and as of now, the rulings of multiverse, it doesn't make sense. That's just the base. That's just the basis of the MCU, in my opinion. It just doesn't make sense. It's not really explained well.
It just needs more structure, and like you can't really put structure on a multiverse. I understand that, but it's like at least that's where Spiderverse kind of has them beat, is they have more consistency, which is like, you know, what everyone's been saying for the past 20 minutes. But it's like, yeah, you have more consistency. You know what to expect. You know that you can go into Across the Spiderverse and expect to see a Tyrannosaurus Rex Peter Parker. You can expect to go into a Lego universe where, you know, they're all Lego beings, and you can see Donald Glover as the Prowler and stuff like that. Whereas in the MCU, it's like you go into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness and you're like, dude, imagine what we can see. You could probably see this, or you could probably see that. And it's like every Doctor Strange is the same. And you get a little bit of the Illuminati that is just more variants people. Captain Marvel as I forget her name. John Krasinski as Reed Richards, and Peggy Carter as Captain America. You can get stuff like that. Nothing too new that we haven't seen before. Whereas you go into a movie like the Spider-Verse and you can expect to see something crazy like that. So I feel like in terms of multiverse, yeah, I mean, I agree. Like MCU kind of has played it safe, whereas Spider-Verse, you can at least go in and expect to be surprised and be genuinely shocked. Whereas these Marvel movies, it feels like we've already kind of tempered our expectations just because of what we've seen lately. And so I feel like that's kind of basically exactly what all of y'all have said. Just kind of that's where they have them beat. They have structure to their multiverse and what their multiverse does, as to where Marvel we still have yet to see. MCU we still have yet to see.
Yeah.
Is that
popped up in this movie though? Popped up in this movie though, didn't it? Huh? We saw the little the sacred timeline popped up in this movie.
Yeah.
So y'all dogging on it, but it's good enough to be in this movie, huh? That's crazy. That's crazy.
Hey, I've already told you, I'm
not hating. I'm not hating.
All praise to our mouse overlord at Disney. You know, on this podcast, we love our Marvel. We will praise our mouse overlord. So not hating on it. I'm just saying.
Not hating. Yeah.
In terms of
Ben to get on the train, man.
Got some structure,
bro. Okay.
As soon as they start dropping some bangers, everyone will be back on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we just have to get through the Marvels.
Yeah.
Looks good to me. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You guys is gonna go hate watch it. I'm gonna be walking up in there. I'm gonna be hoping to have a good time. I don't know how it's gonna be, but I'm gonna be hoping to have a good time. You guys walking up in there. Damn, that first trailer was ass, bro.
I mean, the first trailer does look kind of bad, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
I wouldn't say bad. I would.
It looks fun. It looks like a ton of fun. It looks like it'll be nice.
Is it bad or fun?
It looks like another comedy. It looks like a comedy.
Some of that CGI.
Like comedy.
It looks like a comedy. not Thor type. Oh, talking about Thor, you hear about Chris Hemsworth and the directors, not directors, but the actor of Odin were talking about Love and Thunder, saying it was too childish and Thor's or Chris Hemsworth's sons or what do you call it, children were even laughing about like they. I need to quote this just in case I get it wrong, but they did criticize the film, his own children, saying it was really childish and they called it silly. And he said it was a like while he was acting it was a very silly time. Like it was just all jokes. It wasn't nothing serious while he was filming, and I feel like there was no love in that film, man.
Except for the end. Whoa, hold on. I'm saying I still like the end. I'm gonna say that.
The end is sick.
What, him running? Oh, with the
when he's when what's her name? Jane is dying in his arms, or right before he goes to go die, have her die in his arms.
That okay.
Even that was
no, where he turns to gore and he's like, man, it's been so long because I don't want to watch that movie again
because it's forgettable.
He says you've already won. Why would I waste her last moments with you or something like that? And it's so good. End the podcast, bro. I'm done. I don't movie
it's
back
a
down.
Bottom
I don't want to be
five
next
movie.
to you.
Okay,
movie back down. I
don't
you're
staying
you,
here. You're staying here,
bro.
I mean, I love the ending. I think the ending is great with him and Love, going off to fight. Doesn't save the movie from being a bottom 5 MCU movie. I'm not gonna apologize for that.
Hey, bro, I'm not advocating for that. I'm saying better.
You're saying that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. That
it
scene
is better
alone
than Quantumania.
makes
yes.
it that scene alone gives it
better than
more merit than Quantumania.
Better
Absolutely.
than Quantumania. Yes,
absolutely.
Oh yes,
absolutely. Quantumania, I think, is a bottom 5 MCU.
No, I think Quantumania.
Charlie, I knew we always agreed.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Ben's spitting.
Okay, let's talk
now.
about The Last of Us. Let's talk about The Last of Us. Oh, okay. Now everyone wants to go quiet. Okay, that y'all don't agree now, do y'all? Huh?
I said Ben's spitting right now is what I said. I said Ben's spitting right now.
Was I not spitting on The Last of Us? I loved it.
Not all the time.
Pilot is one of my favorite pilots to any show ever.
Oh, okay. You don't watch that many shows though.
Oh, okay, fine.
Looking at your what's the app called, like Serial List or something? You don't watch that many shows. At least the ones you've logged on there.
You don't even know the app.
Serialize. Didn't I say serialize? I think I said serialize.
Oh yeah,
Serial List.
Wait,
he said
Aiden, do you prefer
stupid.
Quantumania over Thor: Love and Thunder?
Yeah, I think Thor: Love and Thunder is like one of the worst movies Marvel has put out.
Yeah, me and Aiden
are soft spot for Quantumania ever since we did the podcast. Like, I don't know what this kid.
I mean, I don't love it. But it's just like you can't sit here and say that Thor: Love and Thunder is better.
It's not. It's Thor: Love and Thunder.
Tell me,
it's
dude,
not
what?
It's not better. It's not better.
What scene did Thor: Love and or what scene did Quantumania have that was anywhere close to even remotely emotional as the scene that I was just telling you about?
I don't even think that scene was emotional because it wasn't even done well.
Yeah, it wasn't done well at all.
Bro. It wasn't done well? You don't think that
wasn't done well? It was rushed. Everything with Jane Foster and Thor and her dying, you would think her dying would be like an emotional crying moment. And yet Taika managed to fumble all of that and didn't make it feel important.
There was no jokes throughout that whole
guess what? Guess what? She goes to Valhalla and everything's fine, and then her little arm waves at the end, and then we laugh about it.
She's still dead.
No, it's mid. It doesn't make sense. It wasn't
afterlife.
Emotional.
What are you talking about?
It was not.
He fumbled everything that was supposed to be emotional about her death. Yes, then she's in Valhalla and she's dead. That's great, but. Nothing ever hit for me. It didn't hit because Taika Waititi does not know how to write emotion, and he sure as hell doesn't know how to do it in these Thor movies.
And his best scene, and his best emotional scene, or his best deep scene, was his deleted scene, and that's a fact. The one where he was talking with Zeus in the deleted scene of Zeus actually not being a joke, and him actually talking about having your harness of power, and it was the same thing as Ragnarok. It was a scene where it was with Ragnarok, and Waititi did a good scene where it was Thor. Literally, it was right before him had harnessing all electricity, and he was with Odin before Odin telling him, "You're the strongest one there." In Ragnarok, do you guys remember that scene where he was like, Thor was on his knees, and Odin was just saying like, the hammer ain't your source of power, it's yourself.
Yeah.
That scene was a good scene. A deleted scene in Love of Thunder, actually, Zeus being used as a normal character, being serious, not being a joke, telling him the same thing, but I think in my opinion, a way better way, and that being deleted, and Waititi as the fact of keeping screaming donkeys in the movie that fly, like it does not make sense. Quantumania, I think, is a better film, and emotional wise, it wasn't even emotional. Quantumania is not really an emotional film. Maybe with the daughter, maybe with Scott Lang and the daughter, but overall, Quantumania is the better film. Kang the Conqueror itself. Okay, you guys are gonna bring up Gore. Gore was good. Kang had more screen time.
I'm not even gonna say Gore was good. I'm not even saying that.
Gore was the highlight. He carried the Love and Thunder. I guarantee if Gore was not in Love and Thunder, it's worse than Black Widow, bro. It's worse. It's bottom. I think
Black Widow your bottom? Is Black Widow your bottom?
Yes, Black Widow.
I literally wanted to bring up the Eternals versus Black Widow.
Sorry.
I don't care. I will die on this hill alone. I'm saying,
Aiden,
look,
I'm sorry, man. I don't like
Taika
Black Widow.
Waititi. He cannot write these emotional scenes. He made Ragnarok a joke, which is fine. It was fun. It was something new for Thor's character. They watch Asgard blow up and they make a joke about it, not even 5 seconds after it happened. Thor Love and Thunder didn't have any of that emotion at all either. Yes, Jane Foster died. You have to write that emotional moment. You have to. But even that brought nothing out of me because the rest of the movie is a complete joke.
You're heartless.
And you can even sit here. You can see Chris Hemsworth sit here and say the same thing. He had problems. He was vocal about the problems he had about Thor Love and Thunder. It's too childish. It is. It's not hard to write a better movie than Thor Love and Thunder.
Ben and I agree with that, but we also think
but you're saying name a better moment in Ant-Man Quantumania that was than Jane Foster dying. Right?
Well, that whole sequence is essentially like right before she starts dying. But like
what else in the
eternity,
movie has any type
the whole
of
eternity sequence is
eternity, not love. I called her love earlier. You're talking about
her name is Love, but I'm saying eternity is where they get to.
Oh, the daughter of eternity. That scene, you're asking me to name something better in Quantumania than that scene. What else is there to Thor Love and Thunder than that scene?
Yeah, apart from that scene, there's nothing.
What is there in Quantumania like at all?
Kang going crazy.
I think Ant-Man Quantumania has a lot to like, a lot
to like.
It actually takes itself serious at some moments. Granted, not a lot, but way more than Thor Love and Thunder.
Kang's quotes, Kang's little 10-second fight scene, him going crazy, him vaporizing people.
Kang is a way better villain.
I know, and he had more screen time, and that was the carry of the film.
And
Thor was not a good character in Thor Love and Thunder. He's the main character. Same with Ant-Man. Ant-Man wasn't a good character. Thor is a way more written down character. He's supposed to have the biggest character arc, and after Infinity War and Endgame, and just being him, just being dashed to the ground. I feel so sorry for Chris Hemsworth because I think out of the whole MCU, he's been the worst written character because in Infinity War and Endgame, he was the best written character, one of the best arcs there. Him being
not so much
losing his father, going crazy, driving in that whole Infinity War to Wakanda, Infinity War to Endgame, amazing. Then him being trashed down again by Waititi in Love and Thunder. I feel so bad for him, man. He needs a serious movie. He needs a movie where he needs to go badass, man. And that is the Thor we need, man. That's enough of this jokey Thor.
Yeah, but y'all didn't like Thor 1 and Thor 2, huh? So
Thor 1 and Thor 2 was disgusting.
They're just badly written movies. So it has nothing to do with
it was more serious. What you want? It was more serious.
It was more serious. I just want you to not make your whole movie a complete joke like Thor Love and Thunder was. Because then I don't take those emotional moments as serious.
Why though?
Because it brings nothing out of me. It's not well written.
I disagree. Hey,
and if it is such as Asgard being blown up, it's made a joke 5 seconds later.
Yeah, but where did he make the joke when Jane was dying? Where was that joke?
There was no joke. It was just
You can't
badly
make a
written.
joke there. You just can't.
Nope.
It was badly written. Everything.
You can't make a joke there.
And look, everything up until that point and everything after, complete joke. So how am I going to go from this complete tonal shift towards the end of the movie
Look at
and just expect to like grab any emotion out of me? I mean, gearing up to it, I was like, oh, her death is going to hurt. It's going to like, this is going to be painful. And then it wasn't. It was just like, oh, damn, that sucks. Like, fuck. Well, then we finish on the rest of the movie and with some more jokes. You don't need Ant-Man Quantumania to be seriously emotional and like I get it. It's not a great movie at all. I'm not vouching for it to be a top 10 MCU movie. It's ass.
Yeah.
You don't need much to be better than Thor: Love and Thunder.
Screw it.
Need some kind of emotion though, like any at all would be nice.
And it did have
But
some
hey,
moment, like
I
with
know,
Kang,
I
it
know
had
emotion.
some
I know
moments.
emotion to that death. I know emotion to Jane Foster dying. And I'd say this right now, hand on the table. I found more emotion in Heimdall dying in Infinity War than Jane Foster dying in Love and Thunder, and that was just a 2-second death. With literally less storyline being written.
We had seen Heimdall so many times before. That's part
Yeah,
of
we
it.
haven't seen Jane since Thor 2.
And how long was she? How much screen time did she have in Thor 2 and 1?
Well, that's what we're saying. We're saying you should have more emotional connection to Heimdall dying than Jane. Yes,
No,
but
you
that
should have
doesn't
more.
that doesn't mean that Jane's death scene was not handled well by both Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth. The delivery of the line that I already forget again because it was as I'm saying, it's still it's not like top tier MCU emotion, but
No.
He tells Gore, "Do what you must. Make your choice. I'm going to spend my last moments with her." And because of that, Gore is redeemed because he sees somebody choosing love.
Yeah, he sees a God choosing love. Yeah.
That's fine, but it did nothing for me.
It
did nothing for me.
I guess we can't change everybody's delusions, huh?
I mean,
that's all right.
I'm just saying. It didn't do anything for me. There's a lot of moments I liked more in Quantumania. And granted, I feel like y'all are hearing me say this, and I don't like Quantumania that much either. We're talking about two bad movies,
two mid films,
and so there's just more I liked in Quantumania than I liked in here. There's just more that I enjoyed in Quantumania. Granted, not a lot in either movies, but I don't know. I can't take Thor: Love and Thunder serious as a movie. It's not great. It's one of the worst things Marvel has put out in a long time. And I don't think a death scene, it didn't do anything for me. It didn't. It wasn't able to save the movie for me. And I wouldn't automatically think of that scene if I were talking about something great from every movie. I think the scene that did get a lot out of me was the end scene, if anything.
I wouldn't say that it saved the movie. It didn't save the movie, but it made it better than Quantumania for sure in my eyes. But that's it.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
And for me personally, it didn't do anything for me. And so that's why I can't meet you there.
Here's where I think it is. Thor is like here for most of the film, and then the end takes it up. Ant-Man Quantumania is like here for most of the film, and then it gets worse towards the end.
I can kind of meet you there, just because I do agree that like the very end scene after everything's done with Gore, those last couple minutes are really good for me. It has me so excited for what they're doing next with Thor. There's just a lot more moments I liked more in Quantumania than I did in Thor: Love and Thunder.
We just need Thor as a tutor now. I think that's the best way.
Can we just do the guess the character, please?
Please. I'm tired of arguing about two shitty movies.
Yeah.
Listen, I was like, hey, I was saying, I guess we can't change everybody's delusions. I've been trying to say that. You guys just want to go vehemently defend your little Quantumania movie.
Remember that time that you guys got into it about Eternals and
Black Widow? I did, yeah.
I swear I think Memish and I were both sitting here for like 20 minutes saying nothing.
We said nothing. We went around our own rooms and put caps on and we got DVDs and then put them onto the screen. Oh, we got popcorn.
We were the entertainment for that episode.
I don't know how we even got there. I don't know how we got there.
I was actually watching
Panther podcast.
No, not this time. I don't know how we got to this one. How did we get to Quantumania and Love and Thunder? We're talking about Across the Spiderverse. How did we get there? Genuinely don't remember.
I
don't know how
don't know.
we
I
did
think it started with
I remember.
like multiverse.
No,
Who
Memish
does the
started
multiverse
it.
better?
Memish
Yeah.
started it because he said he was talking about multiversal versus non-multiversal movies
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And
in
then
the MCU.
I was saying, yeah, there was better non-multiversal movies and multiversal, and then as a level for there wasn't a good non-multiversal movie.
And then I said better than Quantum. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay.
So it's Memish and Charlie's fault.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a character right now, so
I don't
if
either. I'm
anybody
trying
else
to
does,
think.
I
I'm
have
gonna-
one.
has one.
I have one. I came
gonna be
prepared.
That would be nice. I won't be as harsh as I was last time.
What was your
Um,
last one, Mimi?
The professor,
Dude, some random doctor from Iron Man
The
3.
biologist.
the biologist.
I still don't know who it is to this day. I'm not gonna lie. I
Yeah,
thought
what
about
her
that. And
name
I'm
is.
like,
Yeah, when you
I
see her face, I feel like you'll remember.
let me
I
look
remember
this up.
her. I just don't remember her name.
Yeah.
Maya Hansen, that's her name.
Maya Hansen.
Yeah.
Look her up and tell me if you
I don't recognize her at all.
really.
What, from the movie at all? What?
Well, I guess I'm looking at just a picture of the actress. Let me look up the actual Iron Man 3 character.
Chat shit was about the same.
How different is she gonna look?
Oh, you guys see the new Captain America new title? They changed it.
So stupid. God, don't get
Trash.
me started on. I'm gonna throw up in my mouth.
Trash. Yeah, I don't
World.
recognize this girl at all.
Yeah. That Captain, like, New World Order is so hard, bro.
Sounds
It's
so
tough.
cool.
And then you're like, oh, Brave New World. Like, bro,
Stupid.
if you were, Captain America Brave New World, it sounds like one of those shows on Disney Junior. You know, the little Spider-Man and Friends adventure? It
Nickelodeon.
sounds like one of the, like a little cartoon. Whatever.
Okay,
it's
so
done,
who's pairs?
who's
for the
doing
guest
who?
character?
Well, last time Aiden and I did each other.
Okay.
So let's swap it.
Here, I'll flip a coin. Aiden and Charlie, who wants to be heads, who wants to be tails?
I'll be
I'm
tails.
always heads. What the? Just use your phone, brother, man.
I said I'm gonna flip a coin, okay? I'm a man
It's
of my
old
word.
school.
It's heads.
So does that mean I go?
Whoever was heads, I don't remember what you guys
I was.
said.
Yeah,
I
Charlie.
was
Okay, then it's Charlie and I.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You have a character though, Ben?
Of course.
Okay. Let me hold on. Because if I'm gonna go right after you, then I need to. How hard do I want to be on Ben, bro?
Well, have a couple of options and then pick based on how hard you think I went on you. Because I don't think mine is like that hard.
Okay. Good call.
Okay.
Charlie, it was the one I was going to use on you last time, and you were like, you're going to forget it. And then I forgot it, but I remembered it when I was editing. And I was like,
okay.
damn it. I was like, I'll use it for next time. So I've had one.
You know,
Okay.
I'll be nice. I'll say you. And I think I'll be nice. Cool. Yeah.
Mine's kind of difficult, but it won't be like if you ask the right questions, it won't be hard to get. So am I doing Memish?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
right.
This is. Wait, I'm just trying to find out what phase.
Charlie, are you still cooking over
cool.
there?
No,
That's fine.
I have.
Alright.
Yeah, I got two.
I should be fine now.
All right,
So
Memish.
who is going first?
We'll start.
Okay, that's fine. Do you
All
want
right.
to guess or?
I'll you can guess first.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. You ready?
Yep. 3.
Hold on, let me see. Let me get my timer ready. All right. You got a minute. You ready?
Yep.
Oh shit, I started it too early. You got a minute on the clock,
Okay.
and your time starts now.
All right. Phase 1.
No.
Phase 2.
No.
Phase 3.
No.
Phase 4.
Yes.
Okay. Phase 4. Is that an Avengers film? Is he an Avengers film?
No.
Is it a he?
No.
It's a woman.
No.
Okay. Are they an alien?
No.
Are they animal?
Mm-mm.
Are they
I'll
a
go
plant?
maybe on he.
Are they a plant?
No.
What? Okay. Are they in a Black Panther film?
No.
Are they in a Captain America film?
Mm-mm.
Are they in a Guardians film?
Mm-mm.
Are they in a Thor film?
No.
Are they
Jeez, bro.
in a Ant-Man film?
Bro,
What?
what?
Bro,
Final
What?
guess.
hated.
Just
What?
final guess.
Okay, so it's not human. It's not an animal. It's not an alien. It's not a plant.
I think I might know.
What's the name? The Watcher. I don't know.
Oh, that was a really good guess. It was the Superior Ultron from What If. I mean, you just had to ask the right questions.
That is
If
Oh.
that
you
is
narrow-
a tough character.
No.
That's
I
not
don't-
that tough. If you just ask, if you say TV show or movie, TV show, and you name through What If, yes. Okay, so it's not a person. It's in What If. Is it the Watcher? No. Oh, is it Ultron?
Oh
Yeah.
my days, Aiden.
Oh, it's
That's
almost
the
like
right
it's easy if you know the answer.
I feel
It's
like
easy if you ask the right questions.
I feel like
It's almost
that's
like you
how-
know the questions if you know the answer.
I feel like that's
I
harder
mean-
than Maya Hansen.
I don't think so. I don't think that's harder than
I don't
mine.
think so.
Actually, no, that's not. Whoa.
I think I played it
forgot
fair.
about-
All right, Memish, get him back.
Go ahead.
You know what? I was
try.
being nice, but you know what? It's for now.
Yeah,
I'll keep
yeah.
the same. No, I'm gonna keep the same person, but I'll keep the same person. 'Cause I'm a nice guy. You know what I'm saying?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't think mine was too difficult.
All right, you should. I think you should get this one. Okay.
Okay.
Can you see? Okay,
Yes.
3, 2, 1, go.
Phase 1.
No.
Phase 2.
Yes.
Phase 2. Is it a Avengers movie?
No.
Is it Ant-Man?
No.
Are they in Guardians?
Yes.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Are they a Guardian of the Galaxy?
Yes.
Okay. Gamora.
No.
Star-Lord.
No.
Drax.
No.
Groot.
No.
Rocket.
No.
Oh man, that's all the Guardians. They're in Guardians of the Galaxy and they're a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Nebula?
No.
It's not. It's not Mantis, is it?
No.
What the fuck? Am I tripping?
That's crazy.
All right. When it's done, you can have one last guess. Yeah.
Am I tripping? A
Yeah,
member of the Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
and they're in the first movie.
Yeah.
Drax, Gamora, Star-Lord, Rocket, Groot. I don't know. Who is it?
Kraglin.
Oh my god. Come on, get him out of here.
If you ask the right questions, if you ask the
If you ask the right questions,
No, because I asked if he was a Guardian of the Galaxy. I'm thinking of that crew.
the original, yeah.
Was he not a Guardian of the Galaxy until the second?
Yeah,
movie?
I don't know if he. I don't know.
But
I don't know if
he's
I
a
can.
Guardian of the Galaxy now, right? So
Now he is. Yeah.
were you basing it off the first one?
I still would have guessed him. Like he came to my mind.
Were you basing it off the first one? Because the question was like, is he a Guardian of the Galaxy? So I just said yes, because in the end he was.
You did ask for phase 2, and technically it's also phase 3 and phase 4
And for
and 5. So like
if I
He
said
did-
no, and you wouldn't have, and you like, you know what I mean, it could have.
you happen to go to Guardians of the Galaxy 1, but the character also has stuff later on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess.
It's a tough area. I get it.
it's very because if I said no, it could have gone the other way as well. So I just said yes because in the end he did. Become a
Yeah.
Guardian. Yeah,
I'll give
actually,
that
it
one.
made okay. Yeah. You know what?
I do think like for the future you should try to do it based on whatever phase you want them to guess it in.
Okay, I just based it off the character himself, and so
No,
I
but
based
that
it
is a
on.
good. That is
I
a
based
good
it on the end.
variant. Because I mean, we're
Yeah.
eventually gonna run out of characters, so like you're
Characters.
gonna have to use like. Are they also in phase
Yeah.
3, phase 4, phase 5?
But I did think of it as the character now. So now he's a Guardian, but he was in phase 2. So I just based off that really. Unlucky.
You got me. I want to see what these two got.
I know.
All
I know
that-
Ben.
all that
Ben's,
all
Set up
that
your timer, Ben.
talking over here.
Ben's scheming.
Let's see what y'all got.
Listen, mine's gonna be good. That's all I'm saying.
Charlie, man, you better get him, man.
All right. I don't want you to get tripped up on the questions though. That's the biggest thing. Okay.
Okay.
Feeling confident? Feeling good?
No, but let's go.
All right, your time starts now.
Appear in phase 1.
No.
First appear in phase 2.
No.
First appear in phase 3.
No.
First appear in phase 4.
Yes.
Is it a Shang-Chi?
No.
Eternals?
No.
Black Widow?
No.
Quantumania?
No.
Black Panther?
No.
TV show?
No.
No Way Home?
No.
What else came out, bro? Multiverse Madness?
No.
Bro, what? Thor: Love and Thunder?
No.
Guardians 3?
Yes, technically. The characters in that, but that's not their first appearance.
Gamora Endgame variant.
No. Final guess.
Bro, what? Okay.
Oh, I know who. I think I know who it is.
Mm.
I can guess it right now, but I'll let him.
Final guess. What? There's no way.
I told you to
dude.
not get wrapped up in the questions.
There's no way. I don't know, man. Cosmo.
I knew it. I knew it.
Oh
I knew
my
it.
Oh my
days.
God.
You didn't ask special presentation.
Yeah.
You didn't
Oh,
touch any of the
dang,
special
bro.
The first
presentation.
credited
Okay.
appearance of the
Yeah.
actress who voices Cosmo is the holiday special, and then also in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I knew it was
completely forgot about
Cosmo.
special presentations, bro. I didn't.
Well, yeah,
think
if it was
that.
anybody from Werewolf by Night, like you would have just been done for. But
oh my god, no, yeah,
I
true.
can't
I
believe-
don't know a single named character. in
I
that.
can't believe you pulled that back.
Yeah, you
That's
put it like different.
Crazy.
I
That's
knew it was.
wild.
I was like, "Is it Cosmo?" I was like, "Charlie, please say Cosmo."
Fair play, man.
Yeah,
Oh my
good job.
god, that's the
Fair play.
second week in a row I pull a buzzer beater. That's crazy. Okay, all right. You ready, Benjamin?
I'm definitely ready.
I don't know if this one is as hard as what you did, but
Okay,
you know,
whatever.
that's whatever. That's fine. Okay, and go.
Phase 1?
No.
Phase 2?
No.
Phase 3?
No.
Phase 4?
Yes.
TV show?
No.
Movie?
Yes.
No Way Home?
No.
Multiverse of Madness?
No.
Wakanda Forever?
No.
Shang-Chi?
Yes.
Hero?
Yes.
Male?
No.
So it's a female
Ah.
hero as in superpowers, or hero is just in like on the good side?
On the good side.
On the good
Oh, that's
side.
not a yes or no question. Oh.
Sorry, I should have been more specific. Is it Shang-Chi's mother?
No.
Is it I don't know names very well. Is it Aquafina's character?
Yes. Damn it.
Oh,
my
okay.
God, bro.
I thought you were gonna make me
Oh.
name her. Ah, shoot,
Oh
what
my
is her name?
God. Katie. It's Katie.
Katie, yeah, Katie. Okay.
That's what I was hoping. I was hoping you weren't gonna know her name, but I,
think
guess
I think I would have gotten there.
yeah. You had 11 seconds left.
I think it would have gotten there.
Okay. All right. Damn, I shouldn't have. Why did I just instinctually answered his non-yes or no question?
I mean, I think honestly, the way that I asked it was longer. I could have just been like, "Do they have superpowers?" And then you would have said no. Instead, I
Yeah.
said, "Are they a hero as in powers or hero as in the good side?" I think it took longer.
Yeah. Damn, I should have picked a harder one, bro.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Ah.
All right. I guess
I don't think I've lost. I haven't lost since the first round, bro. I don't think I've lost since I lost the first round, but I think I've gotten the character every time since. Have I not?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I've been
Let's double
shaked
check.
every single one. I got Ultron and I got Taserface.
In my opinion, Taserface is a harder one than Ultra.
Yeah,
Superior
definitely.
Ultron.
Taserface is
What?
Yeah, definitely.
What are you talking about? You just get to Guardians 2,
Oh my
villain.
days, really?
I'm not gonna be like Taserface. Like
Yeah.
What other villains are in Guardians 2 besides Ego?
Oh, I just realized I could have done, bro. I would have stumped Ben 100%. You know, got it.
Do it right now.
All right, go for it.
You want it? You want
Yeah,
it?
just
for
let's
it.
do it.
Okay. All right.
Run it back.
Round
Run it
two.
back.
100%. 100%. All right,
Round
you ready?
two.
You ready?
I'm so ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Phase 5.
No.
Phase 4.
Yes.
TV show?
No.
Movie. Okay, No Way Home?
No.
Multiverse of Madness?
No.
Shang-Chi?
Yes.
Shang-Chi? Male?
Yes.
Male? Hero?
No.
Superpowers?
No.
Is it Iron Fist? Razor Fist?
Oh my God! What?
Let's go.
Oh my
Listen,
God, bro!
Listen,
Got you.
I just had a gut feeling. I was just like, I know this man's about to try to get me with some taser face crap. I connected the dots.
Taserface, Razor Fist. I mean,
I did say like I forget what I said first, taser fist or something.
You did, yeah. Oh my
Wait,
God!
that means Ben is on the same points as Charlie now, right?
I think I've played 3 and won 3. Or no, I played 4 because I lost last time. I
Wait,
think.
so that means you have more than Charlie. Oh, because you just did one now,
Yeah,
I've played 4, won 3.
wins.
and you've won
How
two.
have I
right?
played more than you?
Oh, you just did the extra one right now.
Yeah,
Damn.
but I still feel like we'd be even because you guys have done solo episodes.
we've done 2 with just us, and then we've done 2
And then I guess we did
with
2
y'all.
with you guys. So I get,
Yeah.
yeah. But
And then you
I've
just
only
did-
had 3 wins. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
played 4 times. Yeah.
Oh, so we're the same.
And I think
We're
I'm
the
2
same.
for 4. Yeah.
Yeah, 0 for 2, guys. Come back. I'm so bad at these games.
I'm gonna get Charlie. I'm gonna catch up to him. Don't worry.
Nah, I ain't gonna let it happen. That's what's wild. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. If you have listened this far, we appreciate you. 2.5 hours. That is insane. I'm sorry we kind of went off the rails there and started talking about stupid stuff that has nothing to do with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the absolute peak that was this movie. I'm definitely going to see it again. So, what? What'd you say?
Huh?
Memish is never coming back.
It's been a nice experience, guys.
I'm definitely gonna watch this again. I don't know when, but I definitely want to see it before it leaves theaters. But I think obviously we talked about it. We all love this movie. I don't think we have any final closing thoughts on it, unless anybody has some dying, burning thing to say. No, okay. Seriously, thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in for over 50 episodes. Those of you who have, this is episode 51. That's crazy. Here's to another 50. Episode 100 is going to be another extravaganza. Hopefully, we want to have more of those as well. Though I know Ben is itching to make his list if he hasn't already made his Jeopardy game.
It's almost done.
He very much wants to get in the ring for that. I'm kind of I might be planning like a Family Feud kind of thing myself, idea there, but we'll see how that turns out though. But yeah, we want to do a couple more fun ones like that, and we know Marvel's supposed to. I want to talk about this before. I guess I'll be the early one to talk about this. We did a Comic-Con live stream last year. I would love it if we could do it again, but I don't know how that's going to work out for us this time around. It depends on Aiden, you're muted.
Sorry. I don't know why I muted myself. Because I was messing with my camera and it was beeping. I feel like maybe having one person operate the whole Twitter thing on a computer, and then like having a setup to where we can broadcast it,
Yeah.
like live.
But then that's the other thing is though, yeah, we're supposed to be like in
Disney.
Yeah. So that's the thing.
Oh,
yeah.
during Hall 8?
Yeah.
Because we'll
'cause
be
we're
there
going-
Friday and Saturday.
Oh.
Yeah. And Hall H is on Saturday typically. So
Interesting. Damn.
we would love to do it again, is what I'm trying to say, but it's not looking like that's going to happen unless like we just get burnt out at Disneyland on Saturday and we just like don't want to be there. In case you all don't know, we're gonna meet up and be hanging out
And
at
snuggle.
Disneyland together, and yeah, a lot of that. Yeah.
We should do an episode live, like the three of us together, or I guess like the four of us together that night on a Saturday night, and have that be an episode.
And then talk about the stuff that happened that was announced that day. Yeah, for sure. I'm down.
Sure.
Yeah. So we will probably do one, but it just won't be live. We won't be covering it like we did last year, where we met the glorious Memish here. But and unfortunately, but again, we're gonna try to work out that whole thing. Hopefully, the Wi-Fi there is pretty good. I think it is at our where we're staying. But yeah, that was a fun one for us last year, so we can't wait to be able to talk about whatever might have come out again. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Over 50 episodes is crazy. If you're on YouTube, drop a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss our weekly uploads. If you're on a Spotify listening platform of some kind for this, or like Apple Podcasts, whatever you might be listening to just audio wise, go ahead and drop us a follow on there so you don't miss those episodes. Give us a rating too. We're come on, you're gonna lie and say you didn't laugh at one point during this, listening to us ramble about some stupid comic book movies that don't matter to anybody else but us, but anyway, thank you guys so much. We're gonna continue doing this. We have fun doing it, and yeah, thank you guys. This has been Cubson and Aiden H Talks.
And make sure to go check out everyone's YouTube, benjimovies, Charlie Cubson. Go blow up his 30K video even more so he can keep big timing us. Tune in to Memish's streams, and everything will be in the link tree in the bio. With that, we'll see you in the next one.
Peace. No, adios. Dang it. I took AIDS, bro. That's crazy.
No, there. I'll do adios and you do peace. Okay. Adios.
Peace.
At this point, it's